Doing naming grindstone? It's not dead. It's not dead.
Sorry?
Not dead.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do that a million times.
Apparently you are. It's your turn.
I killed Zero Watts. I'm playing ACS team. We just didn't get large favor. I'm looking at bullshit stuff.
Hey, how you doing, Nate? Too bad. I like your hat.
Yes.
Mic check.
Are you done?
Sucks.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, Diana, can you hear me?
Yeah?
Yeah, okay, cool. I think we're just trying to check in with Corey. Are you able to
We're
hear
getting
him?
all the audio stuff leveled out.
Nope, okay, yeah, me
I
neither.
can hear myself though. Do you have headphones on?
Let me get headphones, sorry.
Had to have that stupid plow. You had double revoker M plow. I'm like, alright, I just kill you. If he doesn't have plow, I just win.
Hey, is this any better?
testing.
Now where's Corey at?
Yeah, okay.
Rocks.
Can't hear myself anymore.
Cool.
What's up?
Apparently you and Dylan were the same person.
No, say it on purpose.
Calling me out.
That's what he said.
Skype has push to talk, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Don't think so.
Skype has push to talk?
I don't know.
Control M is the hotkey to mute your mic.
So I haven't used it.
That's why there is not push to talk setting.
I mean, personally, I'm muting and unmuting my microphone. It's Control M.
Oh, it is? Okay. Okay, gotcha, yeah. That works.
We need play mats to put underneath it. Helps, yeah. That's alright. Wouldn't hurt, but yeah, I mean, I figure most people usually bring their own, but I'm thinking of getting just a really big one for it to sit on.
I mean, you could get like a table one.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
sweet.
is there one here for that?
It's a big one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, we used a really big one for the tournament. Yeah, but I'm looking into building a new rig.
Wow, that is really backwards. Okay, I figured
exactly
it
how
out,
this
but
works.
that's so
I'm glad you
strange.
know. It's your turn.
You should do that on every cross.
What's up?
You don't realize
what
that
did you
there's
figure
a
out for
retreat to
stock?
coral helm over here.
Yeah, so apparently you have to mute your microphone and then turn on the option to toggle the mute, which is under the hotkeys in the settings, the advanced settings.
That's awkward.
Should attack with mother.
trying to remember how to share the. Here we go.
Okay, I'm lost. Where are these settings?
So if you go to Tools and Settings, oh, sorry, Options,
I know.
and then under
They don't make my homes. They
Advanced,
don't have dollar
Oh,
cards
hotkeys.
here.
Okay.
yeah, and so then you have to enable the hotkeys with the little checkbox on the top, or it says Enable Keyboard Shortcuts or something like that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Cool, and then you just
Toggle mute push to talk.
yeah, and the strange thing is though that if your microphone is currently unmuted, like when you don't press any toggling button or whatever, it's gonna mute your microphone whenever you talk. So you have to start with your microphone muted, and then whenever you push the button, it'll unmute. So it's like push to talk. Right now it's push to mute, but then if you mute your microphone, then it's push to talk.
Sure. Get Soda Fire Eyes. This is the best card.
What's everybody's life points right now?
Hey, is this working?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, this is really convenient. Because I'm eating right now and I don't want to be like slurp, slurp, slurp.
Yeah, I totally get that.
What's up?
That'd be sweet.
Bonfire. There was a point in time where I was
Any word from Corey,
my
though?
legacy deck.
I don't hear him.
Not in my deck.
On the call.
Where was Stompy? Of course.
Okay, I'm sure he's just setting things up. Whatever it is.
I hope JD makes it in time to play. What? JD's coming to town. He heard you were here.
What?
He heard you were here.
I mean, that is why he comes usually.
Oh yeah.
Wait, it's running the stream again tonight?
Yeah.
You're not playing?
Nah. I'll probably alternate with people. I'm working on getting a checklist, so the idea is anyone can just set this up and run it.
Well, you're not playing. You might want to put this on stream tonight. Then.
Alright. Oh my god. Are you playing it or?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. You sure you want the title of that deck under your name recorded in all of time?
Yeah, I played it before. Like I've top 16 some opens with this.
I really like that deck. Could I flip through it?
Yeah. I had top 16 and open with it.
Alright, we can't say what it is because I want it to be because we're live right now.
But yeah, if you want to put that on on a round wonder, feel free.
We can do that.
This is Arturo's list.
Okay.
No.
If it's on stream, you have to publish
When you
that
declare an
first.
attack, I will target your legit.
I like it. Yeah. This is pretty close to what I would want.
Yeah, like
What's
it's
your
like
sideboard?
we've had the same list together for a while.
Because I'm on the Bears. The Bears build.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what the sideboard is.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the best.
A little different.
I personally like Gaddock right now.
What card?
Gaddock.
What card?
Gaddock.
You play Force of Will.
Yeah.
Like yes, against the other combo decks, they have to. I'm just not a fan of Teague in general.
Oh, I'm a fan of the man. He's one grumpy old dude. What's everybody up?
But yeah, we're gonna get some.
I highly approve of what's about to happen.
Yeah, it's going to depend on your opponent. If they're like proxies that deck, then I'd rather not have them on camera. But otherwise, we'll probably give you the round one.
You done?
Oh, dude, especially if it's like lands or something like that.
I hope you play against Rug Delver.
Oh, Rug Delver's
Because it's bad.
Step 1%.
Well, you get an extra draw stat. So
Did you just assemble?
yeah, so he had the revoker in play, naming the grindstone. So during my turn, I'm going to top, do my stuff, pass the turn. Then he's going to go. If he doesn't have the plow, I'm going to weld out his Jit for the Revoker. He'll make it pro blue. I'll untap, weld it out again, and then grind it.
Gotcha. So, provided he plays against someone that's not Proxy's dot deck, I like to have him round 1.
Thank you, sir.
We'll see what comes up.
Yeah. Just lighten up. How's everybody doing tonight? Did I misspell it? God damn it, Anurag, I do this every time I type your name out. I'm sorry. I think I've misspelled Anurag's name every single time I've typed it out on the screen. Every time. But the thing is I do the exact same mistake.
Crispin?
No, Anurag.
Oh, yeah.
Anurag Das. Yeah.
Don't even try.
I'm just a dummy. I know how it's spelled too. To be on stream, yeah.
You actually?
I would like it, you two, yes, but you don't have to. It's just a cover my butt type thing.
I feel like if I sit down and I'm on the stream, I've already agreed to be on the stream.
So what I've been doing is I've just been verifying it like vocally on stream. Like, is it okay if I stream?
That's kind of a pain in the ass if I have to like
This was for like the tournament.
bring paperwork into this.
It's working for it?
Yeah, man. What are you playing?
Bug.
What kind of? Oh, I see.
Evil. Just put Bug Evil.
Bug, good stuff. Is it okay if I put your name on the stream?
Yeah, that's fine. Put asshole. Danny asshole.
Can't do that.
The asshole. That asshole.
I'm gonna put you as the nice guy. Because he's a nice guy.
Sure.
They're weighted before.
Can you see this?
What? Yeah, I have stuff over it right now.
You can keep it on the snap keep.
Snap.
3 uncasters.
I can never tell when Scott.
Anyway.
I can never tell when Scott is messing with me and when he's trying to tell the truth.
What?
I can never tell when you're messing with me or when you're trying to tell the truth.
There's definitely a way to do it. I have a clear tell, you just haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
It's the intonation of
I
my
can
voice.
tell you it's down, but there's definitely one there.
There's also, I have a sly smile on the side of my cheek. This side of my mouth goes up just a little bit, and I'm messing with you.
I'll have to keep my eyes peeled.
But I've now told you my tell, so I'm going to have to mix it up. You're not going to see it
I don't know how you do your exile versus your
I
grade
did my
card.
exile like this. Or an exile like this.
We kept the one later. One man definitely we kept everything.
No, I did. But it was close.
I'm taking this slightly right here.
This thing is always a great one.
I don't play Engine Wasteland and then hit him with those cards. Then you give them the opportunity to beat trade star. Which is questionable.
At the end, especially, it's pretty good. I mean,
You only get rid of one card.
but that's not like bad. Like, it's still very good. Oh my god, right there. You got him to force it?
pitching days. This is hard to keep track of.
What just happened?
Sorry, you're 17. Oh, wait.
18?
18. So it's 18. This game is ridiculous.
Force it. You got it.
These days. Morning priority, perhaps Lynch.
Good. Good. I mean, they're decent there when you. What are the chances of doing this?
How's everybody in chat doing tonight? I could totally go to stream some Pokemon. I have no idea what would be happening, but at least I don't know any of the new cards.
Any of the cards, period, other than Pikachu.
I played competitively for like the first 2 years it came out when I was really, really young.
Wow. I'm in too deep.
Yep.
We're in too deep.
Too ham. Oh, that's his graveyard. Are you at 19 then, or 18? Do you force pitch force?
I've forced twice.
He forced pitch finder and forced pitch over.
Oh, I see now. Okay, yeah, they can't see that. Okay.
I'm sorry, to lag.
So is this the first round, or is this still like a
These are still pickup games.
practice or setup?
We haven't started yet. We don't start till 6:30. But I figured I'd fire up everything right now just to make sure it's all working.
Corey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't think I can hear you right now. There we go.
Okay. Sorry, I just realized Skype wasn't using the microphone.
That's all good. Cool.
Let me know if you need me to turn it up or down. I can always adjust it.
Yeah, this is pretty good so far. Is this round one of the tournament, or?
No, this is warm-ups. We don't start till 6:30.
Okay, gotcha.
I need my shaman. I was like, I need my shaman. It's so valuable. It's not. That was a bad move.
How do you guys spell your last names? How do you spell your last names? C-I-O-N? Oh, C-O-I-N. Okay, sorry. How about you, Danny?
What?
Do you want your name, your last name?
Danny Cheese. C-H-E-E-Z. That's my nickname. Yeah. My nickname, Cheese.
Easy.
My name is Cheese.
Specifically with Z's.
With a Z. Ches. Cheese. Ches.
How do you pronounce Ryan's last name?
Owlcoin? Is that how you say it? Owlcoin?
Okay, because I feel like I've seen this before somewhere.
Yeah, Ren's been on camera before.
It was a hard no.
That's from Blues.
Alright, let's go, boy. Go, baby.
That's a snap.
Woo!
That's a snap. That was a snap. Keep it.
Okay, yeah.
Snap. Keep it. Keep it. First, the other one I would have counted like that.
By the way, we're definitely drawing Bio.
Keep it, be a man. Draw the draw. Okay, if you draw Bio, you do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not keeping a hand, but we were drawing
Well, you're
Bio.
also drawing all in place. But then it goes to Abrupt Decay Bio. And
Yeah, or if you have Force Blow, which is super dead.
for days.
Yeah, just infinite things.
Hey, we're good already.
Oh, yeah.
Your hand is not the best.
Let's go for 7.
Go 7?
Ready?
Try and keep on top with it in my hand. Why not?
Shuffle with the Ponder.
Keep on top. Okay, I should just put it in my hand.
You should have make sure you get paper.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea.
Keep them on top, bro.
Corey, are you still setting up?
Technically. Yeah, wait, what's up?
Gotcha. No, just curious.
We are live.
100% just that.
Okay. Let me know if you want me to start thinking about words to use to describe this game.
I mean, you can talk. Or you guys can commentate anytime you like.
Okay, sure, yeah. So I think Ryan Mulligan started with the Mulligan to 6 and Scribe keeping on top.
Yeah. Danny said to go up to 7, so he drew 7.
Okay, that makes sense. Casual game. The funsies.
Hey, can you grab me games and stuff, score pad? I might need it to take notes. I have a pen.
Skype keeps saying make this a video call for free. Thanks, Skype.
Yeah, I think we'll probably switch to Google Hangouts eventually, but
Yeah, I think Hangouts is a really good idea.
Hangouts is probably a little bit better than Skype because Google versus Microsoft.
Also,
I know.
Skype, like, by default messes with your audio settings.
Well, the thing about Hangouts is you can even stream directly from there if you wanted to.
That is true.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Donald.
Really bugs me that that Death Right's sitting down there with the land.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I mean, as far as board states go, I think Danny is doing exactly what he needs to do to win the game. Generally, I think Death and Taxes is slightly favored in this matchup. But if
Why do you
Danny
say
gets,
that?
I think it's just their abundance of threats. Every creature they draw has to be dealt with at some point in time, especially when you take into consideration equipment. Sword of Fire and Ice is a really, really powerful card.
Okay, I
And,
see what you mean. So they just have like more creatures and the swords, the equipment.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I think the creatures that the Bug Delver player has are not as powerful because the Death and Taxes player has cards like Mother of Runes to like invalidate those kind of threat.
Okay, that makes sense. So they have an advantage on the battlefield.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of creature combat, I think Death and Taxes has the tools to use, but I mean, with an early start, like a turn 1 Delver that gets flipped and starts attacking really early, I think the Bug Delver player that's the position that the Bug Delver player wants to be in order to pull ahead. Then you start using, then you start using your counter spells, to tempo them out of the game, basically.
Okay, that makes sense. I can see how a deck like Death and Taxes that's drawing actual live creatures off the top would be kind of harder to deal with than an opposing deck that's also structured like a Delver deck with a lot of cantrips, since they're not really drawing direct threats off the top all the time.
Right, exactly. And when you factor in that most of the weenies that the Death and Taxes players are going to be deploying onto the battlefield have all these auxiliary effects, like Thalia, for example, taxing all the spells in Danny's deck, for example.
Mm-hmm. There goes Revoker. I guess that it's probably naming Deathrite Shaman. Is that right, Corey?
It's still on the stack still.
Oh, I hear ya.
But naming Deathrite Shaman makes the most sense. Actually, are there even any other targets that Phyrexian Revoker can effectively name?
No, you can't let that.
I guess not.
This one. Did he have a choice? Yes. There's lots of choices. Whatever. I'm just gonna quote face. This is all I'm gonna do. Oh my god. I mean, he even becomes a 5/6. Like, all these good things happen. This card is gone.
From this side, it's not.
And I think there's land, instant, sorcery in the graveyard, so Tarmogoyf is probably a 3/4 right now.
Yep.
That's what it looks like to me. Can we get a confirmation on that?
Confirmed.
So it's shifting back and forth between who has the faster clock. I mean, just now with the 3/4 Goyf and the 1/2 Squire, it seems like Ryan was in a good position, but with this Delver in play and the Ponder is sort of probably confirming that it's going to flip, it seems like the pressure or the favor switched back over to Danny.
Score?
I have yet.
What's the score? 7-14?
Yeah, 17-14.
I'm not 100% sure on that.
But Batterskull probably is going to change all of that. The interesting question is, does Danny have an Abrupt Decay in his hand? And if so, how is he going to use it?
He is here. He just bought in, yeah. I hope I don't
Not so silent Bob. Yeah, I agree with you. I think Death and Taxes having access to a bunch of planes is actually a really good thing. And they also have Rich and Ports and Wastelands to sort of mess around with the Bug Delver's mana base.
There was the girlfriend. He only laughed at two different parts. You have lost. Did you see this side? I guess whenever anybody was insulted and or insulted.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what I'm doing.
The end of Sam Jackson's story there. Laughing his ass off loudly in the middle of the theater. I'm like, dude, actual psychopath.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but it was clearly awful.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It was a huge sense of loss because he didn't have Death Ray Shaman.
Oh my goodness. Are you playing this? You should see what Paul Lynch is playing. But I like that.
I think it's a good meta deck.
Did you get Jason to play it? Because that's what he used to play.
But you get to main thing.
So the Delver flipped, Danny attacked. Interestingly enough, he decided not to abrupt decay the Stoneforge. Maybe he's going to decay the Batterskull token. Oh wait, no. Danny doesn't even have the mana to cast the Abrupt Decay because Death Rush Shaman is turned off. And Force of Will stops Mother of Runes. I think that's actually not a bad play, countering the Mother of Runes there, because that just makes all of the combat lopsided for the Bug Delver player. Especially if that Delver, the Flip Delver, leaves the table.
I mean, how deep do you want to go here? I think Death Ray again is thrown.
Both invokers are naming Death Ray.
How about go super deep, call Pernicious Deep? But he's on 2 lands.
He's on 2 lands and you have Thalion.
Engineering Explosives. We call Engineering Explosives, which is also be terrible. In a deep deck.
Four, 5?
Creature. That's the chasing hand right there. You playing tonight? You should see what he's playing.
Did you dig up a dinosaur? Please tell me you're playing well, I dug up an old dinosaur and I'm standing it up. Alright. Except with breakfast.
Oh, hey!
You're doing the thing that I wanted to do! I think it's big for the background.
What's that?
Oh, it's
Are you playing Modern?
It's a
2020 Maryland.
Yeah. I was playing this against Lance.
I mean, it's just not
Makes
doing
2020 attacks and snag. And so he pulled a snag out of his binder and gave it to me. I told him to sign it.
Yeah, I'd want it like, those are my colors. Like, those are the colors I stick with like 90% of the time.
It sucks not having access to a third color for good sideboard options. Like there's some things I just can't interact with.
Yeah.
enchantments.
Do you run these
No. Cycles don't go to the face.
That might have actually been.
They don't go to the face.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, that's like so. I made the tempo variant of.
Plus, we want them to fetch because we got 2 submerged in the board.
Yeah.
Yes. 2 submerged.
I've used 2 forces. I don't have force. Do it. I don't have force. Do it. Just do it.
Yeah, tempo variants were stifles, train, nemesis, and stuff like that. Because the biggest problem that deck has is survival. But that's why I this is like infinite.
I forgot this one.
Take one.
Turn that if you like make an account, verify the account, add the profile picture like all the other shit. What's the point of exercise? You get like $5 for a trade. Quick a trade. I mean, so the website you post the cards you have and want. They only deal with your he also doesn't. But some people put us with but most of the cards you post with have. Somebody sees that you want a card, you have to spend it. You need the life. They commit to sending it to you if it ducks the points. You have to draw land. And then when you want to get rid of cards, you just search for like here's a little toggle so you can see who has the cards you have and give it to them. And then you just sort of most times lose because email them to them, they get them, they mark it out. Points. And so it's a good way to like use your ability to trade. The only thing you're losing is postage in order to have value for value in the cards.
What just happened? Okay.
Field day is bad.
Not quite. It's good for standard, I think, because like I had to open like 2 boxes.
I need to draw planes out of it.
Like, I think it's the first time I had more than forgive any old set. I just cracked them all. And I had all these cards. So I just sold them at 1.
Stop playing poker now. Over that.
It's like, what the fuck is that?
Anneliese has a bunch of cards.
No, I think my cards are stored.
Okay. Then that's her and
Okay.
I'm putting that.
Alright, thanks.
Won over the Thalia or the Rocker, you would have won more easily. Like you just had this giant Tarmogoyf, and once he didn't have swords, having to fight
Tarmogoyf is insane.
yeah, just like you would have just been trucking with a 5/6, and you would have had to like it would have become an abyss before like
I don't know that. I've been playing Sneak and Show. I don't care about anything.
yeah, you just like bet a 5/6, and you would have been trucking. You would have tried to like Stoneforge just like would have been too slow.
One Tarmogoyf big.
Flipped over good.
Yeah,
It's over. Good. Big. Good. Attack with big dumb idiot.
Hey Corey, could you ask Ryan what kind of deck box he has?
Oh, okay. Thanks for the follow. Infinity for mountains. Ryan, what? Ryan, what kind of deck box do you have? People are asking about it. Where'd you get it? Saito's shop? Okay.
Which is also, I think, if
Alright.
he does the math, I think
What is it?
should have potentially traded off the ratio just once you guys got more.
Alright, let's go.
That's a really sweet box. It's like perfectly fitted for 75 or something like that, and it just looks really clean, crisp and clean.
With 2 of them out, then yeah, I think it's
I'm trying to remember who Affinity for Mountains is. I feel like that's a person I should know.
Yeah, they showed up on my stream once too, so it's definitely someone in the MDVA area.
Alright, pairing's going up. Are you playing tonight? Cool. Oh my god. Nice play, Matt.
Wait, you have a moose fraction? I'm expanding my cube, yeah, and all my power proxies are moose themed, so could be a moose mode.
Alright, we got a spicy round 1 lined up for you guys.
Who do you want me to grab?
Paul, Lynch, and Anneliese. And Paul's over there.
I am excited for the spice, Corey.
Oh, it's gonna be a good one.
This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
Anneliese is what she's usually on.
Yeah.
That's gonna be Storm and meat hooks.
That's gonna be interesting. So what do you call it? Meat hooks or do you call it slivers?
Meat hooks.
All right. Oops. I put your name as meat for some reason.
Oh man, did I just see a predatory sliver?
It's like me and Arturo played this like maybe like a year and a half ago.
I remember when you top 8'd at Squabble's tournament.
Yeah, like well, he split a couple of them. I top 16 them open with it.
Are you cool with being on stream? Okay.
Did a bunch of other random links.
And also, how do you spell your name? Okay. Do you want your full name?
So it's not anal ease. Okay. Is that a conversation? Anal face? Really? Yep. I don't see it.
Anal face fancy.
I don't see it. I don't see it.
So Anneliese. Okay.
Why is there adorable links on the pairing board?
Why not? And just so you guys know, the viewing range is about 2 dice in on both sides. So just keep that in mind when you have your graveyard.
So, as we are preparing, I think I saw Lotus Petal and Annaliese's deck, so I think she just might be on what you suggested she usually plays.
How many viewers have we got on, right?
27.
How many?
27 right now. We just started out. So shout outs to everybody in chat.
Are they starting to clock here?
I can't tell, but you guys should be fine.
Okay. I mean, we got a clock there. We can just keep track of ourselves.
Yeah, I'm about to start it, so you guys are good.
Assuming you're on the play.
I'll start with it'll be on me.
So for everyone in the chat who doesn't know, Meat Hooks is a sliver-based deck that uses a bunch of the most busted creatures I have seen in a long time when you know, combined together. And it seems like both players are starting off with the mulligan to 6.
We can now begin now anyway. Okay, so we're good now.
Yeah.
We got 50 minutes. You now may begin.
Okay. I'll reset the clock.
And both players kept on their 6s, scrying as well. Anneliese has kept the 1-land hand with the Lotus Petal, but I feel like she has almost everything she needs to combo off except for an Infernal Tutor.
Therapy named Force of Will.
Paul's hand is beautiful. Yeah, it seems like Anneliese has found the one copy of Ad Nauseam. So next turn we're probably going to see her go off. Actually, maybe there's a way she can go off this turn, but it doesn't seem like Cabal Ritual has Threshold, so it could be tricky.
Can you hear Diana Honorog?
I cannot. I can hear her typing, but not talking.
Oh, that's really awkward. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, that's really strange because I was saying things for a while and then thought you were just really bored by what I had to say.
No. Oh gosh, sorry. What were you saying earlier? Or
I don't know. I was just saying a bunch of things, like reading off what they were playing and what was in their hands.
okay, gotcha. Yeah, Meat Hooks is a really interesting deck. I would definitely classify it as not a tier 1 deck, but is very powerful, you know, when the draws go off.
Yeah, that's probably the only saving grace it has. I mean, that's what it relies on, right?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Crystalline Sliver is just insane. Giving your entire team Shroud is really, really powerful when you have a high saturation of creatures that have to be answered almost every turn.
The deck definitely gets steeply more difficult to deal with once that's on the field.
But I think the issue that I see at hand, and this is something that might just be proven by this game, is that the early turns of the game of the game are when this deck is spending its time building momentum, and that's when it risks losing to things like an early aggression in like Delver of Secrets or Fast Combo.
Sure, definitely difficult to control your draws as well. Like, we saw a Brainstorm there, but they don't have such a high density of other spells since they need to play so many creatures.
Exactly, and which sliver is this one? Is this just like
sliver?
That's just plus one.
That's the other muscle sliver that's white.
Gotcha. Storm count 2.
I'm trying to see what happened there with the lettuce petal.
Here, would this help?
Not really sure. I think maybe they were just undoing mana activation. But Anneliese still has her land drop for the turn, so I'm expecting this Ad Nauseam to be lethal.
I don't see the last piece she needs, which is a tutor. Did you see that in there?
Actually, I think you're right, but there is a... No, the passive flames isn't good enough either. There is it. Yeah, it's there. But actually, the Infernal Tutor is not enough because she's not Hellbent, so...
Oh, there is a tutor, yep. And in chat, I see Petite's making that point. J Petty, whoops. She would have had to Ad Nauseam with no mana floating, but that's perfectly fine considering that she has that guaranteed free mana source in a land. You're almost guaranteed to hit a land. Nothing certain, but it's much nicer to have that LED on the table for utility later.
Yeah, like right now, if Anneliese had an LED, I think this entire sequence would be autopilot. But now, digging for LED. Oh, Dark Petition.
That's Dark Petition.
That'll probably take care of whatever problem there is.
Actual demonic tutor.
And Tendrils was probably lethal here, yeah. Yeah, definitely agree that Dark Petition did save her. But I think after having gone through maybe like a third of the deck, a cantrip or two would have found her what she needed. Is my guess. I don't really know the ratios or anything like that from a mathematical perspective.
Hey, thanks for your follow.
So what I'm interested in seeing now is how exactly Paul is going to sideboard for this deck. What kind of cards does the Meat Hooks deck have for, or in response to like Ad Nauseam? I bet either Sworn Canonist is something that we might see. Corey, you don't have a deck list or anything like that, right?
I do not.
No biggie, no biggie. And actually, really interestingly, day before yesterday was Sunday, Paul and I went to a tournament in Fairfax, Virginia, at a place called, I don't know, Victory Comics or something like that. And there was a Legacy event there, and Paul's friend was playing this deck. So I got to, this is the second time I'm seeing Slivers in like less than a week, which is incredible. Affinity Bent is all we've seen so far.
I was going to say that's what she said. Are they like kind of sticky?
but if they have to hit everybody, I have to do it myself.
And so I'm looking at Annelise's hand right now. It seems pretty land heavy, assuming that is a Bloodstained Mire behind the Delta. J Petty, it was a win a duel event, as Affinity said. I think first place was 300 in store credit, second place was 150 in store credit, and third and fourth were around $50 or so. I think they're holding that every Sunday, every last Sunday of the month. But you should definitely contact them to find out.
Also, Diane, I'm not sure if you're in the call or not still, but we haven't heard you in a while, so.
Blink once if you're alive. Twice if you're not. All right, so this time we see Paul is a little bit more prepared. He's got a Force of Will in his hand. Oh, wow. Hey, what's up? Welcome back.
Huh. I think something's up with my headset.
Is it low on
Maybe it's
battery?
low on power.
Do you have a cable?
Yeah, I'll probably plug it in. Give me a sec.
But yeah, taking a look at Paul's hand now, it seems stacked with a lot of great answers.
Meddling Mage is naming Infernal Tier.
Does Paul have a phantasmal image in his hand?
You guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry about that. Phantasmal Image wouldn't be uncommon. Yep,
What was the card name?
that's what it is. It's running a lot of these tribal decks.
That makes sense. I mean, especially since you can vial it in. I wonder how Phantasmal Image works with Meddling Mage. Do you get to name a card? I assume you would be able to.
Yes. I believe. Don't take my word for that 100%, but that's my answer. And now we're seeing it.
Yep, and this is a really, really powerful start for Paul.
The card named is Abrupt Decay with a Phantasmal Image.
That's an incredible pair there.
And so while it is really strong, I think it is important to note that Anneliese still has outs to this. For example, she could draw any potentially sideboarded in Chain of Vapors. And
Chain of Vapor when she was flipping through the deck there for the fetch. I was looking for it, and I did not see it.
It's like another elves deck essentially.
If it's not there, then the other tool that she has is Dark Petition. That's a card that cleanly gets around both of these meddling mages.
There's Dark Petition in her hand. It was in her opener, and she hasn't brainstormed, right?
I don't remember seeing it, but I'll take your word for it if it is there.
Yeah, she just got her blue source this turn. She hasn't brainstormed. There was a Dark Petition in her opening hand. You know, it's funny, I thought her opener was a lot of do-nothing cards, but she's drawn business every turn since then. She drew the Duress on her very first draw, and has seen plenty of cantrips, so sometimes it works out.
Yeah, I could have sworn I saw, like, you know, a very land-heavy hand, but, you know, Storm is a very powerful deck, and I imagine that there's just so much gasoline in the deck that, like, if it's not the first draw set, the second one or the third one will yield something to do.
That Meddling Mage aggro coming in. J Petty saying in chat that he saw Anneliese board in chains. I still haven't seen them when she's flipping through the fetch, but that's just my eyes probably not quick enough.
Yeah, and J Petty's also saying that the hand kept was Ritual, LED, and 4 lands, and I think that's close to what I saw too. I think I may have seen like a discard effect, but I'm...
Oh, okay, so the Duress was the first card she drew, but I thought that Dark Ritual was a Dark Petition.
Yeah. Artwork is probably very similar from a bird's eye view. I mean, both are almost
well, the
entirely
particular Dark Ritual that she has in the deck does look not too similar, I guess, if you're getting a closer look or had a better eye than I did.
Wait, so the third Meddling Mage is on Dark Petition?
Correct.
All right, yeah, this lock is actually starting to become more of a chokehold. Because now Anneliese has to draw exactly Chain of Vapors, and I don't think we've seen any of those so far. But yeah, I do think that she bordered it in. Bread and Butter Gal, I definitely agree with you there that it is a trap hand.
That's Diana, by the way.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's me, by the way.
Oh, cool. Okay. Hi, Diana.
Hello. Or for Brian, hello.
Yeah, and Meddling Mage
Scoop.
beat down.
Well, 6 power is a lot to have in addition to controlling what spells can be cast.
So if Phantasmal Image comes into play copying a card, does it also assume the artwork for that card?
Artwork is not a copyable characteristic.
That is unfortunate. I am a huge fan of the Chris Pacula artwork.
Well, for our purposes, we can pretend that that's the case. There's no effect in gameplay, so let's just say that.
That works for me. Victory in the small things.
Unless the force, of course, and bitchy that way.
Honor, he said in chat, Hansi 104 was you?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to give you admin rights.
Oh, thank you. But what's interesting that game is that Paul didn't play a single sliver. Like, he had the crystalline in his hand, and he just never cast it.
You should call it humans instead.
Huh. It was definitely a very different game plan. A lot of reactive cards, and a lot of careful advancement of the board state using only Meddling Mage and Phantasmal Image.
So I still think that Anneliese is favored to win the match, unless Paul has just like, you know, like a crazy, hateful sideboard with, you know, a billion bears.
Yeah, it's under twitch.tv/snapcast. Or follow. Good seeing you again, man.
Good.
Nitro, actually, the funny thing is, Arturo was playing this.
Oh yeah, they're talking about.
Arturo was playing this deck at the Legacy event on Sunday, and I was talking to him. I was playing in a Legacy Daily once, and somebody accidentally submitted their Modern Slivers deck into the Legacy Daily, and Miracles is not really well tuned to beat, you know, Modern decks, and I almost lost. I lost the game, but I almost lost the entire match to Modern Slivers. It was exciting.
Miracles definitely seems like one of those decks that's very sensitive to the composition of the typical Legacy deck.
Oh yeah, definitely. I played against Splinter Twin once, and it was crazy because they had like main deck dispels. The important CMCs were like 3 and 4, which are, you know, not really the type of CMCs that Miracle has a lot of.
So is that the secret to winning Legacy rounds in this Maryland area that's very heavy with Miracles?
Yeah, just play a Modern deck.
You might do even better with a standard deck.
You can't fall against the force of the world. You can't, it's not very good.
It all depends. It's like what time they go off. You have to kill them on turn 3, or else they're going to kill you.
So this is an interesting hand that Paul kept with 2 Rest in Peace and the Aether Vial.
It's very slow.
It is, and I actually wonder how good Rest in Peace is going to be in this specific context, or with regards to whatever hand he has. I mean, Rest in Peace will turn off Threshold for Cabal Ritual, and will also turn off Spell Mastery for Dark Petition, right? So it's definitely powerful.
The cards that it operates on are the 2 you mentioned, and also Past the Flames, which is not negligible, I think.
Well, hang on. I still want to watch this back. I still want to watch this
Bro, no, I don't really. I'm not commentating right now, but Diana and Honor, Honor.
Does Anneliese have 2 Dark Rituals in her hand? Because if she does, the next turn I think she might be able to combo off. Unless she doesn't have a Black Source.
Well, she's fetching now, so I can't see how she'd fail to get a Black Source.
Agreed.
That's always helpful.
Yeah, that's this program right here. It writes it to a text file.
Oh, that's awesome. That's one thing, like, even the Magic Stream doesn't do it, so
Yeah, I'm trying to get because it'll also play music in cool artwork too. So I'm hoping to use the same tool to broadcast music in between rounds.
okay, yeah, that's pretty cool.
And Paul's probably just hitting F6 here. I don't think that Anneliese has to worry about Force of Will because Paul doesn't have a blue card in his hand to pair with it.
Right, she's already seen that he's very low on the reactive cards.
Okay.
And by tapping the volcanic island, I think Anneliese is leaving one black floating. And oh my gosh, that tendrils off the first card is a heavy hit.
Definitely not the ideal card to see, but can come in handy in a lot of blinds as well.
So by hitting the ritual, she's at 6 now, right? So the question is, at what point do we stop, or at what point do we have all the tools we need? Storm count is currently 3, so Petal...
It's very awkward because she doesn't have a way to get the necessary storm count and mana yet.
Maybe if she finds an LED?
LED would be very good here.
Going down to 2, is that it? Has she decided to stop repeating the ad
Yeah, she's
nauseam?
stopping there.
So that's the resolved ad nauseum.
Yeah, and I think she has a Lotus Petal.
She saw Lotus Petal off the ad nauseum, so that's in her hand.
I think that's Storm 5.
She's tutored for Cabal Ritual. Can we get a mana count?
How much mana is floating right now? 0? Okay.
No mana floating.
And land has already been played for the turn, so...
I think she's setting up for next turn.
So there's a little glare over 2 cards on the bottom right. I think one of those is a Cabal Ritual, though?
They're both.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's the one she revealed and the one she found.
So now this Rest in Peace is going to do some heavy, heavy work now.
Was this cleanup step or was that Ponder Cast? Oh, okay.
I had like Lurks. Honestly, it's kind of like you're this like slow combo guy, but you're
Hey Marcus, how's it going?
I have these things where you need to
Hey, and there it is. That's a rough one.
So from this point onwards, what do we need to see Anneliese draw into in order to win this? Or does she have all the pieces that she already needs?
She needs a lot more mana. And it's important to note that she's under pressure now as her life total is dwindling down. She can't probe for, you know, the Phyrexian mana cost, and fetching puts her very low.
Does Paul play any one mana creatures? Because I mean, if I don't think he does. But potentially.
I can't think of anything in a typical Slivers deck either, but maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like Diffusion Sliver, the 1/1 that gives your team flying. But I don't know if that's good enough for the Legacy deck. Slivers is not really a commonly seen contender. All right, and the second rest in peace is in. So I think, I mean, Anneliese knew about this in the first place, and I don't think her game plan after she resolved the ad nauseum involved the graveyard at all. Seeing that there were 2 copies of Rest in Peace, I mean, she might have been able to get rid of the first one with the duress, but she didn't look like a Cabal Therapy to get rid of both. And since she didn't, whatever she formulated, you know, after the first or second turn, rather, definitely has to have factored this in.
Right, absolutely. I'm very interested to see this line opening with a ponder. There's that Dark Ritual. She's set up to go off now.
Hey, what's JD playing? Is he playing? Is he playing? I mean, is he playing? Okay. Can you tell Bill? I want to get him on the feature match next round, provided he's playing some of the real cards.
And so, interestingly, you know, the Sinew Sliver is lethal, but I think she has Chain of Vapors to buy another turn. So I'm not actually sure if the Dark Ritual was even enough, because the Infernal Tutor in her hand is stranded. I mean, at the very worst case scenario, she could, you know, combo off like halfway to gain some life so that she doesn't die. But I don't know if that's enough to... I don't know if she can like maybe Tutor Chain to get the Storm count high enough. It looks like her hand...
All rituals only netting 1 mana each, that's not a viable line. If they were full thresholded Cabal rituals, absolutely, she'd have a very easy line right now.
But she seems to be going off, so I imagine that, you know... I mean, she knows her deck better than I do. So I imagine that she has a line to victory or not dying, at least, here. And I'm sorry, Tutor Chaining doesn't even work because she's not hellbent, so...
Right, I can't imagine what she's going to do with that Tendrils that's in her hand. It's really...
Maybe she has a second copy in her deck. I know some lists...
Getting another Cabal ritual.
Probably not that That's insane.
The thing is,
Going to 3 mana floating? What's up? Mana?
that's going to be shy of sufficient storm.
Let's go. That's basically just like your deck now. That's basically the deck you have now. You're just adding like 4 sides of yourself in there.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're facing lethal on board, it's a little tricky. Gotta not
So
die.
here's the thing. There's nothing she can do about the lethal on board unless she casts tendrils, in which case she's still out of the game in the long run unless she has a second tendrils.
Yeah, and I think that's a concession. Rest in peace. Combined with okay, Meat Hooks takes the first round. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a 2-1 to Meat Hooks.
Okay, so Paul's taking this one. Double rest in peace for the win.
So J. Petty said that the dark ritual would allow her to tutor chain for more dark rituals and win.
I think he was counting the excess Inferno Tutor that had been used the ad nauseum turn to find the second Cabal Ritual instead.
Okay, gotcha. Well, that was really exciting. Dank Temptation. Meat Hooks is basically tribal slivers.
I love that name, by the way, Dank Temptations.
That's a pretty cool name. Meat Hook's also a pretty cool name. Named for their little claw appendages.
You mean their paws?
Their what now?
Their paws?
Their paws? Is that what they're officially called?
I have no idea.
I think that sounds too cute for something that looks like a sliver. You guys are pretty gross.
Hey Chuck, it's actually I am an hour away from the store. It's a little bit of a drive for me, but being able to commentate is also very fun too.
He got it up before. He game's game.
Oh, you're gonna put an epic kill it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm like, dumbfounded looking at
Yep, exactly, like Skype.
Yeah, we're both Skyping in, and that actually helps with the logistics because we don't have to be isolated in an area of the store where the players can't hear us.
Yeah, this is really easy for me too because I don't have to set up a commentator's booth, which is actually about 3 times the amount of work to get configured and operational.
Yeah, I remember.
Also, it makes it a lot harder for me to break down reasonably in time, so I like to break this down really quickly and get food with everybody. So it probably isn't an option if I do commentary.
J. Petty, I agree with you about not using the Infernal Tutor the turn before. She can always get Cabal Ritual the following turn, and in addition, knowing that Paul has the Rest in Pieces means that the Cabal Rituals are very soon to be underpowered.
Corey, on a side note, are you going to be streaming the next Legacy for Power tournament?
Yes, I will be streaming.
And I assume that one's going to have commentary, like, with a special booth and everything like that?
Did we ever figure out okay.
I did. I have that weapon. I almost did.
I think you just need a sturdier table. This is so... Yeah, this table is... It's like touching it. It's like... Dragging it over, I felt like it was about to fall apart. I should have grabbed another one. Yeah, definitely.
I almost lost it.
Is there any way to fix it? Like, is there... I need to build another rig is what I need to do. I need to get a tripod and build a rig so I can have it not affected. Like a crane arm, basically, yeah.
Benjamin Berry, I think she used the last 2 mana to cast the Infernal Tutor. she had a black floating and she had a lotus petal that she used. So Cabal Therapy, I mean, even if she had it in her hand, she wouldn't be able to cast it without, using a ritual first.
She couldn't have tutored for therapy if that's the question you're asking, because she did not have a therapy in hand.
But it makes it easiest logistically for me to just have like a donation thing, so that way you can people watching the stream.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Yeah, if you had that, like, everyone that comes here donate $10. Because obviously we'd like to see.
Yeah, because we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully upgrade the storm.
Yeah, Dylan's got us covered on the storm counter.
Make some streamers.
Yeah.
One starts that he has are pretty cool.
We're basically doing the same thing. Dylan's making a card that just says Storm on it, and he's making one with red, black, and blue colors on it. So you can just put the dice on it, and it'll work just fine. Oh, careful. That's fine. Yeah. You can just throw this out.
That was our test run, They just signed it for show.
I'm technically supposed to.
You are?
If I monetize, yeah. I haven't started monetizing yet, but I will soon.
You could probably work it out to like give them.
It's just easiest to have them do it when they sit down for the stream.
True.
Hey, thanks for the follow, by the way. Am I playing? No. Yeah. I mean,
maybe one day I'll hire some people to do so we can keep playing.
I do still play, yes I do, but for like these events and stuff, any event I'll be streaming.
Slipso too. Actually, Legacy is a lot more balanced. There are a lot of broken cards that you could use. I guess abusively, but then again we have cards like Force of Will to keep all that sort of good stuff in check.
Right, absolutely. There's power, but then there are cards that keep that power in check. You mentioned Force of Will. Wasteland's another important one, in my opinion.
Definitely agree. Yeah. I don't get to play too much Vintage, but the power level of Vintage is just frightening. Like, absolutely frightening.
And they just changed their name, too, which is equally confusing.
Yeah, Sensei's Divining Top is not a broken card and should not be banned. I don't know, guys, what you're talking about.
I remember the first time I ever saw Sensei's Divining Top in action when I was playing Kitchen Table Magic back in the day. And of course somebody had opened one in a pack and put it in their casual deck. And it was just completely unbeatable. None of us could ever defeat that card. Some days it still feels like that.
It's a waiver.
Did you have to pay a lawyer for that?
No. I literally just...
That's actually just hilarious, thinking about how powerful Divining Top is in Kitchen Table Magic. So.
Just literally impossible to beat.
Jay Petty, there may or may not be a personal or sentimental, a personal relationship, we'll put it that way, with me and Sensei's Divining Top.
What's going on? I was like, let's put some more slivers on the stream. Anybody want to play?
We can do a quick little deck tech on it if you want.
Well, you're gonna do it with Arturo. Arturo! I'm sorry, I didn't scream.
Yeah, that's alright.
Well, I think those accounts you can just have set up that are just like put money in.
To what?
To do it. Like, it doesn't have to be one of those. From like stars. So the problem with like GoFundMe, he's not actually trying to like.
Yeah, my biggest regret, not so silent Bob, is actually just not playing Magic years and years and years and years ago. I started in like December 2012, and like not only did I miss like era, whatever era of culture, behind all the cards and standard formats and whatever like that, I just missed like a buttload of money, like in duels and stuff like that too.
What is going on with this deck?
And it looks like we're setting up a deck tech of Paul Lynch / Arturo's Sliver deck, or Meat Hopes rather.
Oh, there's that one drop that we were speculating about. That's Gil Rider Sliver.
Actually,
Use all your slivers flying. So that's a 1 mana blue dude.
Sorry if I take the spot for the mic.
sure, go for it.
My bad. Diffusion Sliver was the Frost Titan Sliver, but yeah, Gil Rider is the one that gives your squad flying.
Yeah, that's a new sliver. New generation sliver. There's a complete deck. We do indeed have Dazes there that we were speculating about earlier.
Awesome sauce. Arturo, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. How you doing, bro?
Doing all right. Long time no see, man. It's good to see you're still on what I thought you'd be on.
Yeah.
So what are we playing today?
Basically, it is a updated version of the old school counter sliver list.
Okay.
Only
Slivers, Meat Hopes.
with Aether Vial, Brainstorm, an extra lords, cheaper flyers, and some evasion with hibernation sliver.
Gotcha. So it looks like you got some old school, you got some new school in here. What inspired you to play this deck?
Honestly, I learned how to play slivers during the Time Spiral block. That was my first actual deck, the Sliver Evolution deck during the Time Spiral. And I've been wanting to play them for a while, even though they weren't good, because
I thought
they were missing a lord, whereas Merfolk generally has 3 lords, and Slivers only had 2. And then when M14 came out and Predatory and Gale Rider were printed, I seen it and I started brainstorming it, and then a friend of mine put a list up on Channel Fireball, and me and Paul Lynch got together, put the list together. I played it at Squabbles to a top 4 finish.
Yeah, I remember that tournament. Yeah.
And then there was some issues with the mana base. There were some issues with consistency. So me and Paul went back to the drawing board and tweaked, and then just got the mana base down, pretty much down pat to just 20 lands, fetches, duels.
Yeah, so I remember I was talking about the deck a little bit on chat, in that there's usually 2 defining builds. There's, like you described, counter slivers, which is where you usually have blue duels, and which turn on dazes and forces. You get to cantrip with Brainstorm. You're good. And then there's other just straight aggro builds that are just straight lords, and they usually have like high creature count and just strictly rely on bears in their sideboard to be able to beat combo. So this build looks like you're on the permission build. How do you play both builds? Is there one that you prefer?
I have played both builds, and I'm actually playing the Slivers list in Modern that I've been working on, or the guy at Top 80 with that I've been tweaking.
So you're playing this in Modern too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's slightly different, but just because I don't have Crystalline and Muscle Sliver.
Yeah, Crystalline seems really cool. So I like. What are some of your favorite interactions with this deck?
Honestly, some of my favorite interactions are with, of course, Crystalline. Being able to stick my tongue out at an opponent that has a handful of lightning bolts and swords of plowshares, just because he grants Shroud.
Yeah, I've had personally my abrupt decays get countered by people activating Ether Vial in response to me casting Decay on a crucial sliver, and then they flash in Crystalline Sliver.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah, that's kind of dirty.
And it's, I've had several judges called because people didn't think it worked like that. They forgot the fact that Abrupt Decay checks upon resolution, not when it's cast.
So I remember slivers way back in the day, and this guy, I can't remember, what is his name, Galewind Sliver?
Gale Rider.
Gale Rider Sliver. This guy, I think, kind of really, really helps this deck out a lot because it seems like you want to just be turning your dude sideways every turn, and this guy just lets them all get in there for the low cost of 1.
Yeah.
Versus like the old Wind Sliver, which is this is just a strictly better version of it. Because it just costs 1 versus 2.
Well, he got better because he became selfish and only deals with your slivers.
Yeah, I think they changed that templating in what, M14?
M14.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they lowered his CMC, so they made him selfish, and they dropped his CMC, which makes it better. So with Gale Rider, or specifically with this deck, your ideal opener would be, of course, Land Vial with either Force or Daze backup. And then your ideal turn 2 would be Crystalline Sliver with Vial tick to 1, then end step Violin, Gale Rider. And against certain decks that having the Vial on 1 and having the Gale Rider stuck in your hand with Crystalline in play against a deck like Deathblade or Jund or something like that, if they went land, death, right, go, their ideal turn 2 against this deck would be to play a Liliana for her sack ability. So their ideal play would be if we play Crystalline on turn 2, for them to play Liliana on their turn 2, make us sack Crystalline, which of course puts us behind because now it turns on all their abrupt decays and all of it. In which case you can activate Vial in response and Vial in Gale Rider and sack the Gale Rider. Now Lily's at 1. They have a death right, and you still have a handful of lords. Lily's gonna die, or you could allow Lily to live for a turn and just smash.
Right. That's pretty cool. So what? So it looks like as far as your creature count here, we have 12 lords, 3 phantasmal images, which these I guess are kind of like whatever you need, right?
Yeah,
they need more lords. They can be a lord, and I really like the interaction. I like the 4 crystalline slivers because they seem great with the phantasmal images because they actually will keep it safe forever.
It turns off phantasmal images sack ability.
Right. Yeah. Basically. Okay. So it sounds like Parents just got called. I wouldn't mind talking over with the sideboard eventually, because that's kind of important for most sliver decks, because that's how we beat. That's how we actually can beat like certain combo decks, because combos seems like it's kind of notoriously a tougher matchup.
Yes.
But we'll see if we can get you back in here. We'll probably finish this up. But thanks for sharing your list with us and taking the time to tell us about it.
Yep. Anytime.
Now, are you guys both playing it today?
No, I'm not actually playing Paul's playing.
Okay.
Favorite comment of his friends so far? Wow, he's talking about proxies and he's got beta
Okay, cool. Thanks, Paul. Or thanks.
No problem, dude.
Good luck today. Is this your dice bag?
Yeah.
Here, I'll let you go.
That's my big sack.
JD, so you should be fine.
Okay.
Oh, that was not. No, that's fine.
Alright, JD's sitting down over there. Do they know, Phil, do they know there's a feature?
Where'd my pen go?
Hey, what's up, Kurt? How you doing, man?
I'll snag him real quick.
So just FYI, the view range for the camera's about here. Alright, we got a spicy one coming up for you guys.
It can't be spicier than what we just saw, can it?
How'd you do?
How's it rate on the Skullville heat index, Corey?
Just wait for me to type it out, you guys. It's gonna be good.
Hey, I see a JD.
The man, the myth, the legend?
I would recognize those gross hairy arms anywhere.
Shots fired.
Yeah, I play around a lot.
How do you spell your last name, Kurt?
Spiess.
Oh, 2 S's. Okay. All right, normally I'd have you guys sign
Hey,
these, but I
whoa.
assume both you guys are fine being on stream and all that good stuff.
I'm very excited now that I see the full matchup here.
Oh wow,
Kurt.
this is gonna be intense.
This is a thing of beauty, ladies and gentlemen.
Doublip Gaio 1, I don't think I've seen a lot of Doomsday before. The closest thing I've seen to Doomsday is in the sideboard of like Tinfin's decks, where game 1 they will try to kill you on turn 1 or turn 2, and then they'll board in a Doomsday for some resiliency.
Like, what does it do? It's got like a primeval type something? It just gets a bunch of Nido lands?
So Diana, do you have any initial thoughts about this matchup, Red-Green Lands versus Aluren?
I fully expect Aluren to have a good time against lands,
North Dakota?
Nebraska.
but that's just my speculation. I haven't
Is Nebraska
really
also
seen
a
this
square
matchup
state?
with my own eyes before.
Strictly speaking, it's rectangular and there's a notch.
J. Petty, it brings tears to my eyes not having Japanese Force of Wills, but I think I've just come to terms with it. The ones I have right now are signed, which is pretty good, and they've served me pretty well in the last 4 or 5 years. Sorry, 3 years. So yeah, I think what I'm interested in seeing is just how fast the lands deck is. If Kurt can assemble a 2020 combo on turn 2 or 3, or if he has like an
Just to
explosive
FYI,
mana
JD,
punch.
These 2 dice, this is about the view distance on both sides.
I think with something like that,
So just keep
the
that in mind
matchup
for
might
your
be good for him. I'm not really sure. I don't know too much about Aluren, honestly, and I wish I knew more. But it feels like Aluren has to wait until like turn 3 at the earliest to sort of combo.
I believe their earliest turn is 3, and the earliest for lands is 2. So if we're going for the fastest case, then I think lands is faster.
Gotcha. But I don't, at the same time, I don't want to like say that that's all the matchup boils down to, because as we can already see, JD has copies of Deathrite Shaman, so he has some game 1 interaction. And so maybe that'll do something. And it looks like Kurt is going to mulligan, and JD is not.
Deathrite Shaman is such a strong component of this deck. It just has so much all-around utility and value, in addition to contributing to their longer combo or non-combo game plan, whatever it may be.
Right, and so then the question is, JD is going to land this Deathrite Shaman on turn 1, but will Kurt have the appropriate answer in like Punishing Fire or Molten Vortex?
That can certainly be hard to deal with if it occurs early. However, if JD still manages to get that Aluren on the board, the combo is still difficult to interrupt if he has all the pieces.
Right, and I guess another thing that that Kurt has in his opening hand is Crop Rotation, and that's a card that doesn't really care too much about Deathrite Shaman either. Snorlax Combi, yeah, game 2 and 3, Crossing Grip is going to be huge. I imagine that Kurt will probably have 4 copies of Crossing Grip in his sideboard, so in that situation, JD's discard effects are going to become a lot more relevant.
Do you usually see 4 grips? I thought it was 3, but I could be mistaken.
It's either 3 or 4. One of the two, yeah. Yeah, now Aluren is the deck that does play Shardless Agent, and you have, like, if Aluren doesn't necessarily pan out, if the Aluren game plan doesn't pan out, you have the option to just Shardless Agent a bunch of times and make just like an army of, weenies.
Right, and what's so nice about Shardless Agent is it's not at all at odds with the rest of the creature package, right? Since you're running a particular set of creatures anyway that harmonize with Aluren, and those also work well with your Shardless Agent, so it's just a very harmonious package overall.
Absolutely, and I think another insane thing that is the case is that you can actually Imperial tutor for Shardless Agent, right? So that's pretty sweet. Cool interaction. Sorry, did I say Imperial tutor? I meant Imperial recruiter.
Right. Yeah, I heard you say that, but I think we all got what you meant.
Yeah, Goblib guy. So as probably been pointed out, I play Miracles a lot, and one of the scariest things is just to see Aluren on their turn 3 cast Imperial Recruiter, search Imperial Recruiter, pass, and then just keep beating in for 20 turns. Because every time I terminus one away, they'll just play the other one and search it back up again. And this turn 1 death rate immediately going to work, but I think JD just missed his second land drop.
That's what it looked like. Yeah.
And he didn't find it here, so he's really struggling. And this death, yeah, I think there's no lands in either graveyard for him to use a death right on. So this could be over as early as the next turn, because I think Kurt could just play the Dark Depths and beat down with Merit Lodge. Yeah, and that's sad to see, but Lands is very powerful in having access to a one-hit kill.
Hey, everybody commenting, is it okay if we bring in Rudy? He's he's available.
Yeah, totally, for sure.
Yeah. Hi, Rudy. I'm uncomfortable at the density of Miracles players in this commentary.
You just got to embrace it.
Actually, I picked up Miracles recently myself. I'm enjoying it a lot, but need a lot of practice.
Oh yeah, that's what I tell all my friends who try to pick up the deck. It's that it's a great deck and you'll do very well, but you have to be absolutely prepared to lose 100 times, because like even the slightest mistake will cost you. I was streaming yesterday and like I fetched the wrong mana and lost the batch because of it. So like it's tiny things like that.
Oh gosh, yeah, and I've found that it really makes you think hard about the other decks in the format as well.
Absolutely.
More so than usual.
Hey Rudy, pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm alright. Ooh, JD's playing Aluren. I like that. It's kind of a rogue choice, but...
Yeah, I mean, like after, it performed well on top-aided GP C Taco, I believe, and so now it's like it's not on the radar, but it's on the radar. So it's not like, I mean, I'm not surprised to see it exist. Before I was just like, what is Aluren, etc.
Aluren's definitely changed a lot over the years. I think Shardless Agent and Deathrite Shaman really gave a boost to the deck. Like, before it was kind of like a fringe deck, but Shardless Agent and Deathrite Shaman just gave it another, and I guess Abrupt Decay too, just gave it another facet, and it lets it really be like an almost playable deck. I still don't know if it's very good. I think it kind of dies to itself a lot, but it has all the tools it needs.
What's interesting about this build is it plays the mid-range plane very well. It plays like almost like a rock deck in some cases. And I don't know if JD went exactly with the list from GPC Tech, but he was referencing it when he was building this deck, and that deck actually did not run forces except for the single one in the sideboard.
Casual one of Force Will. I think Force Will's obviously a really hit or miss card. He's obviously a combo deck, so he probably doesn't have too many blue cards himself. I imagine he has Brainstorm and Shardless Agent and I guess Dreamstalker. But when so many of your
Baleful Strix.
and Baleful Strix as well. But when so many of your cards are just combo pieces themselves, it's got to be really difficult to use a card like Force of Will to be able to push any advantage. So I assume that JD's advantage or for fighting combo decks is purely on Cabal Therapy, almost.
Actually, we saw Dotsie's game 1, and I imagine that also helps a lot.
Yeah. The other issue with Aluren is the mana base feels very weak. I assume that JD is playing next to no basics. And against a deck like Lands, who's a port and a wasteland deck, the best thing you can hope for is a turn 1 Deathrite Shaman and hope it lives for a while. But otherwise, you got to feel like you're on the back foot most of the time.
Right, they have that 4-color mana base, so they're really leaning on Deathrite Shaman to help smooth that out.
That's an interesting comment, and I was actually thinking how that applies with regards to other decks in the format and how Aluren performs. And when we put Aluren under, the microscope of the Delver test, I find that Aluren can be lacking sometimes in that department. I don't know who was it that top-aided the GP. What, Martin Goldman or something like that? Was that his name?
I don't know, but I'm sure we could look it up.
Yeah, I wonder how many times he played against Delver or Lands or these kind of, mana warping decks, on his way to the top 8.
Martin Goldman Christ.
There you go. Yep.
Apparently, Phil Schoeninger had an article where he interviewed Martin, so I'll see if I can find that.
Yeah, I too would imagine that its matchup against these decks with small, frequent pieces of disruption would be a little weak, but I'm not sure if that's just me not having confidence in Aluren because we don't see it so often.
So then, I guess let's look at the other side of the discussion. What is Aluren really good against? I imagine that the Shardless Bug matchup is probably in Aluren's favor, right? Because they have no way to interact with the actual enchantment, and then you play a bunch of dudes, and can they even do anything about that? Besides Force of Will.
I mean, Decay is obviously good, but one of the things that I actually really like about a deck like Aluren is your combo is kind of difficult to interact with. Now, if you guys really can't see what's happening here, is JD actually has Recruiters proxied, and he's casting his Proxy Recruiter to go, and I guess he got a Scavenging News, which is also another very good card against lands. And Kurt brought in Choke, which is actually really powerful here. We can see JD, I don't know if we have JD's list, but we can see in his hand he has a Tropical Island. I'm sure he has Underground Seas too. So his mana is going to be a little tight moving forward.
Yeah, Deathrite Shaman is really going overtime right now by just giving JD the extra mana sources that he's going to need to operate for the rest of the match.
Right, and if Kurt is able to find a port, for example, he can just prevent JD from using his mana effectively in any form. Now, it looks to me like JD's going to keep up his Deathrite Shaman to either keep an eye on his Kurt's lands or... Oh, well, it looks like Kurt just has Dark Depths here.
That is pretty strong.
Looks like JD left in some Erupt Decays. I guess he was assuming Choke or Mox Diamond, both of which are fine targets. I'm actually not sure what JD's outs here, besides just straight up comboing Kurt. And if Kurt has anything to interact with JD, like a Punishing Fire, he might be able to keep JD off for at least a turn. But if JD finds Aluren here, I think that should just be the game. It doesn't look like Kurt really has anything more in his hand than just a gamble.
But then again, if JD doesn't draw the Aluren, does he even have any interaction for the 2020 that's about to enter the battlefield?
He could play a flyer and block it.
Powerful.
I'm looking here at the interview with Martin, and he said he didn't want to play against any fast combo decks such as Elves, Reanimator, Storm, Dredge, Oops All Spells, or even Lands.
So any other combo deck in the format?
Right. Martin also says that Miracles is a very good matchup for the deck, as is Delver.
It's interesting that he'd say Delver's a good matchup. I guess maybe it's because of the basic lands in tandem with Deathrite Shaman.
And perhaps just that value creature package, like a Baleful Strix, and filling the board up.
Gotcha. And I think actually that is what JD is doing right now. He's played this Parasitic Strix probably to block the 2020.
Yep. I also believe that that is something that he's doing. My guess here is that Kurt is going to gamble for a Punishing Fire to try and clear out a blocker. I believe that Strix... Yeah, Strix is a 2-2, so Strix would die. So we'll see what he does here. Kurt also has Tabernacle in his hand as well, and I think he's debating on playing that. And this is also part of the problem with playing a deck with not many Force of Wills, is you're kind of at the mercy of what your opponent is doing on occasion. Although it's not necessarily the worst, but against a deck like Lands, stuff like Thoughtseize and Cabal Therapy isn't going to be very good, since the deck really operates using its graveyard as an extension of its hand. Well,
Agreed.
Let's see if JD can hit the Punishing Fire. Oh, he didn't. Oh, Flame Jab the Parastritic 6.
Flame Jab.
I do
Okay, right. Yes, we've been talking about Punishing Fire all this time, but I actually remembered Kurt is on a new build of this Lands deck that doesn't run Punishing Fire nor Grove of the Burn Willows.
That's pretty impressive. I didn't think about that, but yeah, Flame Jab is obviously very powerful. Flame Jab is actually the perfect card to get in a situation like that, because it doesn't matter what he gambles for, because even if he hits Flame Jab, he can just recast.
Right. It's even faster to get online than the Punishing Fire recursion.
That's certainly true.
It's either that, or I could pull a game that's going to board.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to pull a game, that's
My only concern about a card like Flame Jab over Punishing Fire is, while Punishing Fire gives you a lot of recursion, if your opponent eats a life from the loam, or Surgical's your life from the loam, Flame Jab is kind of weak.
It's
That's
actually
certainly the case.
I do want to know how Kurt's deck is going to operate without Punishing Fire, because, I mean, as of now, it seems like that's just a huge engine of the game, right? Like, it is... the difference between 1 and 2 damage is actually quite significant, I think.
Right, where you
I
need...
absolutely agree.
Right, where if you have Grove of the Burn Willows, Punishing Fire, you can kind of reactivate it a couple times, where if they Force a Will one of your Flame Jabs, that could just mean the end of it.
Right, and another thing that I actually just remembered is that, I mean, a lot of the lands in the Red-Green Lands deck actually just don't tap for mana. So we saw, for example, Tabernacle, we saw copies of, what is it? Maze of It? Yeah, exactly. And then they have, Wastelands and Rishadon ports, and none of those really tap for red mana. So it's interesting to see Flame Jab. I'm assuming one thing that Kurt just said was it plays very well around Blood Moon in a way that Punishing Fire cannot.
That's a good point.
As long as they don't. The only thing that could be an issue is them having copies.
What I'm definitely interested in is if you could play Punishing Fire alongside Flame Jab. 'Cause I think Punishing Fire might be just too good right now against all of the creature decks.
I definitely agree with you. Yes, Snorlax is saying that it's Flame Jab is easier to eat with Deathrite and easier to Surgical Extract, and I have to agree with him there, because there's no way to really, get it out of your graveyard once it's in there, right? Or like buy it back to your hand like you can with Punishing Fire.
Right.
Right, I thought it was such an awkward choice when I first heard about it, but now thinking about it, not having to rely on finding that Grove of the Burn Willows is also another advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. I think there are definitely pluses and minuses to each card. I'm interested to see which one's going to be better overall. But I guess like it's fine and has a lot of different uses. I like that it's flexible, which is obviously really nice. But
And it's much more mana efficient too, right? Because Grove casting Punishing Fire and buying it back costs a total of 3 mana, whereas this is just 1 mana discard a land, 1 mana discard a land. I guess eventually you'll have to like start loaming your lands back, but that's 2 mana over the course of 3 turns, as opposed to 3 mana every single time you want to cast it.
My biggest issue with a card like that is against a card like Liliana the Veil or Jace. Punishing Fire is just so much more effective if you're able to beat those planeswalkers.
And then of course Kurt shows up. Stupid Kurt. I know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess from the lands perspective, is Liliana even that much of an issue? Because you'll be loaming back lands, so that means you'll always have something to discard. I guess Jace might be an issue, but because I know Punishing Fire is definitely very good at like handling Jace, right?
Yeah, well, it also like depends on the rate. Like you can only play so many lands. I mean, obviously, like generally you're just playing like 1 land in a turn. So something like Flame Jab. I mean, between casting Loam and Flame Jab, that's a little tough to go. And if you don't have Loam for whatever reason, then Flame Jab just doesn't have the ability to really take care of planeswalkers, where Punishing Fire, you can take care of planeswalkers.
Gotcha. Maybe we can ask Kurt about it to see what his opinion or what his feedback has been on the card in his testing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think it would be great to hear from him.
All right, and we have Wes versus Kyle Marx. All right, my guess is Wes is going to be playing Merfolk.
Is that what he's known for?
The Oppressor.
It is. Oh, looks like Kyle Marx is playing Death and Taxes. Death and Taxes is like a very interesting spot in the metagame. When a bunch of people are playing a lot of fair decks, Death and Taxes can really shine, especially with like Mirran Crusader, Spirit of the Labyrinth, and Talia. They can just really just like... I mean, as the name obviously suggests, it does tax you a lot. So between that and Revoker, it can kind of crush a lot of the fair decks. But if there's like a really combo-filled metagame, Death and Taxes just feels so weak.
Yeah, all of those cards that you just said, like Spirit of the Labyrinth, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and Mirran Crusader, those are all cards that I just don't like. Those are all like, let's not have fun package in Magic the Gathering.
Right.
But interestingly enough, I feel like Death and Taxes actually has like a decent combo game. Like
of the camera, so just keep that in mind.
It's not like dead cold, right? So for example, against Sneak and Show, I think Death and Taxes has a fantastic matchup because the combination of Phyrexian, Revoker, and Karakas game 1 is enough to just shut down everything that they do.
Yep.
And game 2, I'm pretty sure there are some other tools that they might have, just to combat the evil forces of combo.
I'm really interested to see what Wes's sideboard is going to be. If he has things like Pithy Needle and Blood Moon, he can definitely have a very good game against Kyle, being able to shut down Karakas. I assume he has to have Pyroclasm somewhere in his sideboard. But I'm interested also to see if how many Force of Wills Wes left in. We can see from his hand that he left at least 1 in. And it looks like he has a Gristlebrand and a Show and Tell, so even if his opponent does have a Karakas, it should be okay. I really don't like Kyle's hand here. He has 5 lands and a Talia. It's just not very good.
Yeah, and I think Kyle is going to mulligan here. Both of them are actually, which is interesting. I think for the Sneak and Show player, like, the Show and Tell is just not strong enough. You have to have Sneak Attack, because you have to be able to play around that Karakas. Karakas is a huge issue, and
yeah, I agree. Karakas can be very difficult to answer, but a Show and Tell into Gristlebrand is just significantly better than something like into Emrakul, because where Emrakul you can't get any value, where Kyle is mulliganing here, he might not be able to put on a lot of pressure quickly. So something like Gristlebrand and just draw 7, maybe even draw 14 might put him into a position where he gets to untap, play some of his fast mana like Lotus Petal and City of Traders, and power out a sneak attack that just kills Kyle on the spot.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with that. One interesting thing about Sneak and Show is that Gristlebrand is significantly stronger in this deck than it is, for example, in like a Reanimator variant, simply because the cards that you are drawing off of Gristlebrand and Sneak and Show are so likely to kill your opponent just on the next turn, whereas like other shells like Reanimator, the cards that you're drawing are not necessarily guaranteed. Like you could put like an Elish Norn into play, but that won't like destroy your opponent's entire board and deal 15 damage in the air,
Right. I think the biggest thing to that you're kind of getting at is that there's a lot of redundancy in Sneak and Show, where Reanimator has a lot of silver bullets. Even though all of their reanimation spells are obviously very similar, Sneak and Show is a deck that is purely predicated on just like I have 8 of each of my combo pieces. I just have
It's
like 4
awkward,
show and tells.
though.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention that even though they run these redundant pieces, they still overall have a very sparse combo, and that's good in some ways because they don't have these pieces cluttering up their draws when they would otherwise do nothing, but at the same time, you do see a lot of very sparse draws off of Gristlebrand where they're digging and digging for that next piece and can't find it.
Yep, I mean, that's definitely true. Playing a deck like Sneak and Show does obviously, I mean, there's a reason the deck plays 12 cantrips.
That is a lot. That is more than even I play. And I think looking at Wes's hand now, we see that Pyroclast something we were talking about earlier. He's got, I think, 2 lands and a sneak attack. So I think this hand is significantly better than what we saw earlier, in that, sneak attack will be able to forego the issue of Caracas.
All right, it looks like Wes is starting off here with Ponder. He ponders into Gristlebrand, I think Omniscience, and Flooded Strand. I'm assuming that's what his proxy is. It looked like 7 blue, 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 which is the casting cost of Omniscience.
Exciting.
Shuffling off of a Ponder is the signature play of Sneak and Show.
I've certainly seen a lot of Sneak and Show players shuffle, and it's because, you just really need, the deck always feels like you just need one piece here, and it looks like Wes really is just looking for one piece, but his piece here, in this case, is going to be land. He's just looking for a couple lands right here. I actually wouldn't mind if keeping that Ponder because he at least had 1 land on top. And since he has a shuffle, he should actually have been okay. Although he did kind of get rewarded here by drawing a show and tell.
And so it's exciting because if he does draw the lands, and if Kyle has a slow enough start without the turn to Thalia, he could just show and tell the sneak attack into play and then activate it just out of the blue, putting Giant 7/7 into play.
Oh, looks like he also drew another show and tell, which is actually pretty good here. I'm not sure if Wes has any, but this is definitely a matchup where I think a card like Gitaxian Probe gives you the right amount of information that you need. Looks like Kyle has Containment Priest in his hand, though, which is obviously very good.
Illegal Sarah Avenger we just saw there.
I don't think that's Sarah Avenger.
I think he just tried to cast one and quickly took it back.
Yeah, Diana's right. It's not turn 4 yet. We do see the Containment Priest in Kyle's hand, but I want to point out that if Kyle does flash in the Containment Priest in response to the show and tell, Wes can just put the sneak attack into play and not lose the Gristlebrand in his hand. Now the Containment Priest still will have to be answered, but it's not like resources are completely being lost here.
One of the things that I actually don't like about how Wes is fetching right here is I think he actually should just fetch Volcanic Island, because Sneak and Show needs, potentially double red for an activation. And if Kyle here just draws a Wasteland, then Wes is just completely out of red mana and just has nothing else going on here. Oh, interesting. He's just going for a bunch of islands here, which I also don't think is very strong for him either. It looks like his plan is just to show and tell in a Gristlebrand, which I really don't like either, because... Well, it looks like we're going to put in our sneak attack. But this is another scenario where it would be really good to have Pyroclasm.
Yeah, or even the Omniscience that we saw earlier. That is a pretty sweet tech against Containment Priest. You know, you just cast all your dudes, and that Containment Priest suddenly becomes irrelevant in the face of Omniscience.
Oh, Absolute Law.
I'm trying to figure out what this card is here, but it wasn't. This
It's
card.
Absolute Law.
Absolute Law. Okay. If our viewers at home are not familiar with Absolute Law, it is a 1 and a white enchantment. All creatures gain protection from red. So he is now in a situation where if West tries a Pyroclasm, it is not going to work out very well.
And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think now what West might have potentially to break out of this situation. And the first card that comes to my mind is maybe Echoing Truth.
Does he have a void snare, something like that? I don't know.
He just put Omniscience into play. Can he cast a Gristlebrand?
That's pretty
no.
incredible.
With Ethersworn Canonist, he's only allowed to cast 1 spell a turn, and his spell was Show and Tell.
Right. Ding ding. That is correct. But maybe next turn, something scary could come into play.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Wes has something like Wipe Away or Echoing Truth, but I assume if he does, it is absolutely going to be in there. All right, looks like Wes is down to 12.
But I guess these are the kinds of draws that you have to have with Sneak and Show to beat Death and Taxes. Omniscience is such a huge upgrade to the normal Sneak Attack plan. Or a Sneak Attack Show and Tell plan.
Yeah, for sure. I do like Gristlebrand here. Obviously, the biggest issue is hoping Kyle doesn't draw. Uh-oh. It looks like in Wes's upkeep, Kyle's gonna Flicker Wisp in the Omniscience.
Well, so the thing is, he actually can't Flicker Wisp the Aether Vial to Flicker Wisp in because of Containment Priest. Yeah.
He realized that at the last second.
Yeah, he definitely saw that. It's kind of interesting here. And it looks like Kyle's just going to cast another Containment Priest.
And he might just be on the beatdown plan, like Flicker Wisp the Gristlebrand, and then prevent West from drawing. Oh,
Caracas. Looks like he just drew Caracas.
Okay.
That is a beating. Whoa.
Caracas.
Yeah, that is real bad here.
So with this Caracas in play, I feel like Wes has to draw an Emrakul here, and I think he's invoking his one time.
Is that a top deck, the Caracas? Oh yeah, that was because he had the Flicker Wisp. Wow.
Yep. That was
a very good
pretty good there.
The beatdowns. Either Sworn Canonist plus Containment Priest is pretty difficult to beat, but I think, post-board, like, Death and Taxes actually has to just have all those cards in the deck to keep up with all the technology that, the Sneak and Show player will be bringing in.
Right.
He certainly would have been in a much worse position if he just had one fewer card there. One fewer of his pieces.
Yeah, drawing Caracas there was a beating.
The Absolute Law was actually just awesome to see as well. Just like the heads up, like I know you're going to bring in Pyroclasm, and this is what I have. If you don't have an answer to this, well, thank you for the match win.
Oh, interesting. It looks like Wes here has Lightning Bolt in his sideboard.
I found that in this particular store, there are a lot of Death and Taxes players, and they metagame very heavily for the matchups they'll anticipate. So I had a rough time playing Storm there and running into several main deck Aethersworn Canonists.
Wow.
Ooh. That's a beating.
I'm going to go check to see if another game's going to go to game 3 real quick. I'll be right back.
Sure thing. Yeah, and
thanks, Corey.
The main deck Aethersworn Canonist reminds me of a list I think that Michael Durzo played. He was piloting Death and Taxes, and he top-aided an open or something like that. And this was during the Dictator Time era.
Era.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and like that Omnitel was so oppressive then that like you had to just main deck this one Canonist or you just get blown out. I think the Omnitel matchup is a lot more different for Death and Taxes than the Sneak and Shun matchup is, because I mean Omnitel's not really trying to flash in any creatures. They just want to like hard cast their Emrakul game one every single time.
Certainly a very different style deck than Sneak and Show.
But he played it. He played it like he played it well. Like when he showed himself in, and I was like, I have faith in him. I put an after. I put an after. Yeah. Well, it's better than other ones.
But yeah, when you mentioned that he has the lightning bolt that he boarded in, that also sort of just reminded me of technology that the Omnitel decks were using before, where they would bring in bolt to deal with opposing either Sworn Canonists or whatever hate bears that the opposing team might have, and that was usually in combination with the Young Pyromancer too to generate tokens in another avenue of attack.
What's actually really interesting here is Kyle elected to board out his Mirren Crusaders, which I actually don't agree with here. I think you need to put a lot of pressure on them very quickly, and I don't think there's a card that really does it better than Mirren Crusader. And if you have something like, if you're boarding in something like Sword of Feast and Famine on Mirren Crusader is close to game over.
Hey, quick update for you guys. There are no more games going to Game 3, and there's only a couple left, so I'm going to take a quick break. So if you guys watching just want to hang with us, we'll be right for round 3 in a few.
Awesome. If you guys haven't already, feel free to follow this. I'm not sure how often people are going to be streaming. I'm sure Corey or Diana can give you a better idea of that, but you guys should definitely follow if you're interested in Legacy, because I'm pretty sure we're going to try streaming as much as possible.
Yeah, follow and turn on your notifications from Twitch, or if you don't like that, follow us on Facebook. There's a Snapcasters Facebook page, and if you like the page, you'll get probably a post every time we're about to go live. We'll try to give you a heads up sometime beforehand, maybe the day before, and then again when we're just about to go live.
Awesome. Thanks for the information. Do you guys have a Twitter, too?
Yeah, our Twitter handle is actually on the screen right now, at Snapcasters2U. That's our handle for Twitter and Instagram. Right now, not too much activity going on Instagram, but if you guys want to follow us there, we'll also keep updated on that.
Yeah, I mean after January. It's not the worst. You might be able to bring in one. Right.
Oh, this is actually something that I think Wes should have done. He had Through the Breach and Blood Moon in his sideboard, and I think both of those are easy inclusions against a deck like Death and Taxes.
I definitely agree with you there. I was just about to say that, in fact. Blood Moon does a lot of work against Death and Taxes. It's pretty deceptive since, the deck runs a lot of basic plays that are immune to Blood Moon. But being able to turn off Wasteland, Port, as well as Caracas, that's the big one, is just like a lot of value that I don't know if you can just pass up on that.
They certainly do run a lot of non-basics that aren't given the limelight, but as you mentioned, the Caracas is the big hateful card there, and also they have, Horizon Canopies, which helps them gain more gas later for a deck that doesn't have cantrips or any real way to manipulate their draws.
And in a weird way, Blood Moon can also be pseudo-fixing in that it can turn your Ancient Tombs and City of Traders into red sources for sneak attack. Minor upside.
I'm back, guys. Well, there's 10 minutes left in the round. The official timer.
Hey Corey, is Kurt anywhere nearby?
Not nearby.
Do you think we could get him to say a word or two about his new lands build?
Oh yeah, probably. Hey, Paul. Paul, can you grab Kurt and see if he wants to talk about his new build on the stream?
Which does not beat Stoneforge for Banish Golem. His turn. I'll show you again. But like, if I put there,
It's going. Yeah.
This
This remote commentary thing really makes it really easy. Good job, John Crocus there.
Yeah, I mean, just I'm so good at this game. I follow the Chris Hawker school of always having, never not having.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks, Chris, for teaching.
Hey man, I'm just here to help new players learn how to play like this.
You beat Agrolo?
Wholesale magic.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
You got him, right? Okay.
Hey Wes, is it okay if I give you the boot so we can do a tech with Kurt?
Yeah. We're gonna have to ask Wes to move on out.
Yeah, we're bringing in Kurt Spiess here to talk about his new spice that he's rocking. I think we saw a little bit of it.
I got that, Corey. That was real good. Spice, because his last name is Spice, and Spice is also say spicy.
That was unintentional.
This was that deck that I was hating on a couple of nights ago when Rory was over. I was like, no punishing fire, that's wrong. I don't care.
Yeah, definitely Legacy is starting to get to a point where more people are able to play. It's something like 10, 15 bucks.
Or whatever you want to show us. Yeah.
Alright, yeah,
So what are you playing today, Kurt?
Playing Lands, Old Faithful, but...
The usual.
But I got some new stuff in it.
Alright.
Try to make the deck a little bit faster, so playing with 4 Molten Vortex.
Molten Vortex? Now this is that...
No Punishing Fires.
So you cut Punishing Fire and you're running... I like the... What is this, Korean, or is this...
Yeah, that one's Korean, so that's what the card has.
Oh, okay, I see, okay.
There's a real version.
For everyone that doesn't know, this card is Molten Vortex, 1 red. To play it, enchantment, 1 red, discard a land, and it shocks, right? A creature or player. Okay. So you're running 4 of these in place of Punishing Fire, which is normally the Wombo combo with Grove of the Burn Willows, and you give your opponent 1 life, trigger it from your graveyard, you get to do it again and again.
So it's like sweet to mill into either half of the combo that you might need as far as Grove or Punishing Fire goes. But in a lot of instances, you want to like tutor up a way to kill a creature, but you don't have the Grove yet, or it just ends up being like a little bit too slow. And I felt like Molten Vortex is like a lot better to draw into. You can't dredge into it, but I felt like for Punishing Fire to be better, it basically has to be a certain situation, like you already have the Grove that fire gets dredged into. But the games that you resolve Molten Vortex against a lot of decks just like close it out. Like for instance, in the first round I played against, it was like a Splinter Twin deck that's like kind of becoming popular with like Blood Moons and Chalices and stuff like that. And he played a turn 1 Blood Moon against me, and I just had a Tranquil Thicket in play. So I was about to concede. I was like, I'll just keep playing it out because I have Molten Vortex, and it ended up winning because I gambled for Vortex, played it, and he put a Chalice on 2, but I just drew enough lands that he played 3 Deceiver Exarchs and a Pestermite, and I killed them all, and I still had enough lands to do 20 damage. Like it was a long game, but I just hit a pocket of like 6 lands. Wow. So I don't have Groves anymore. So I actually like that change too because it means I'm playing 6 fetch lands and 4 Taigas, which means like you loaming into fetch lands and stuff. It's like really easy to get to like all 4 Taigas with the Vortex going. And you can just like close out the game. It also makes the mirror match a lot better too because it's pretty hard to kill somebody with 20/20, especially when both players get 1 in play, and then you can just have a Molten Vortex in it. Instead of you having to do 1 damage a turn with Punishing Fire, it just does like a lot more than that.
Right. I also like I feel like it's good not running Grove because I'm sure there's probably a couple matchups where you might put your opponent above 20 life, and then now you have to like either hit him twice or you have to hit him and then Punishing Fire them.
Yeah, exactly. And you never have to worry about that now, especially when you board out the Punishing Fires. It's like really awkward to have to give them them more life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, I've beat like a lot of decks with that. I beat Storm with that. I've beat Aluren. Like it kills surprisingly quickly. The Vortex does. Like you can kill him by turn 5. So if you got like a Port, a Vortex, and a Loam going, you can just like you can end it pretty quick. And I'm playing a Beseiju too.
Just a 1-of or?
Yeah, just a 1-of. Against Miracles, it's if you get Beseiju in play with a Loam and a Molten Vortex, like if you can play one of these early and land a crop rotation, maybe in response to a counterbalance for the Beseiju, you can just get this going, and Miracles generally can't beat that game 1.
Yeah.
Like even if they entreat for a good amount, you can generally shoot enough angels down, and you have 4 Taigas, so you're going to have the red sources for it. So I feel like in the corner situations where Punishing Fire is better than Vortex, it doesn't make up for like the power you get out of it.
Gotcha.
It only costs 1 mana, so your opponent will kind of like counter your Exploration or Mana Bond or Mox Diamond early, but then you just follow it up with a Vortex and kind of just switch up your whole game plan. You don't worry about being like the crazy land deck, and you just kind of turn into a shock deck.
It being 1 mana, it seems like it has the upside of where you could play a bait 1 mana spell to see if they fight you over for it or not, and then lead up with like Mox Diamond, Molten Vortex.
Exactly, yeah. It just gives you more like really cheap plays. It makes your deck a lot worse against Jealous of the Void, but that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then like the sideboard is mostly the same stuff, but I changed a couple cards to go with like the Molten Vortexes. So it's like, like the Hate Artifacts, the Corrosion Grips, Chokes, Bajuka Bog, but then I'm playing a Mind Break Trap and a Flame Jab.
Okay, so what are each of these for those that are...
So Mind Break Trap is just, that's for like any spell-based combo deck, but I feel like those have gotten a lot more popular now in the metagame, like Storm and High Tide and stuff like that. I think that stuff's a lot more popular than Show and Tell is. Or even against like Infect, Aluren, like it has like a bunch of random applications. But it's just a 1-of so that you can gamble for it when you don't draw one of these or don't draw like a Mox Diamond. And it's been really good, especially because most lands decks don't have it. Right. So look at Taxian Probe, you see gamble and then figure that the coast is clear, and the next turn you'll gamble, they won't see the card you tutored for, and then just get blown out.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So, and then Flame Jab is actually to go with the Molten Vortexes, and I actually used it against JD. It was like kind of a situation where it was a little bit overkill, but it meant that no matter what card I discarded with gamble, I was going to kill him that turn.
Right.
And this card is really sweet because if you gamble for this and you have 2 red open and 2 lands, you're always going to kill a Deathrite Shaman, no matter what card you discard, because even if you discard this as your card, you can hold priority, retrace it, which puts it from your graveyard to the stack. It resolves, deals with 1 damage,
and you
goes
do it
to your
again.
graveyard, then hold priority.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, so it's got really good timing stuff. I think this is actually even good in the Punishing Fire versions as a 1-of. And it's like way better against Death and Taxes because all their creatures are X1s. Like, it's really only Deathrite Shaman and Stoneforge that you have to kill with multiple Flame Jabs, and it still costs 2 mana to do it. So
yeah, that seems pretty cool, and it seems like it's probably a little bit easier on your mana base now that you're not running groves to be able to
it makes it easier to get more red sources because you can, before, like if you had a grove and a loam, you would maybe lead with your grove, play an Exploration, they'd wasteland you, and you'd have to wait until you found another green source. But now you can just lead off with a fetch land, go get your, I have 2 more fetch lands than the normal build, so you can just go get your forest, or just hold off on the fetch land, next turn loam it back, and then just start getting red sources in play.
Yeah, that's really cool. This card wasn't even on my radar. I was talking with Rory about this build in particular, and he couldn't really explain it to the depth that you just did, and the whys over cutting Punishing Fire, but it seems like it's working well for you. How long have you been on this?
I've been playing this basically since Molten Vortex came out. I played it in the Invitational after Magic Origins came out. I forget where it was. So I ended up 3-1 in Legacy, and then I went 0-3 in Standard, so I didn't get to play anymore with it. But at the time, the reason why I initially put the Vortexes in was the Grix's Delver deck with Young Pyromancer and Dig Through Time was really popular, and you could get Punishing Fire against them and still get like annihilated because they had so many spells so fast with Young Pyromancer, they would just swarm your Punishing Fires. So I switched to Molten Vortexes, and that like almost always like solved the problem, just because it's only 1 mana, and then it's like easy to cast through a daze and stuff.
Right.
And even if they tap you out on that turn, you know you're going to be able to kill like 2 or 3 turns the turn after that.
Right.
And so, yeah. Oh yeah, I got it too. Sorry. And so yeah, once Dig Through Time got banned, I kind of thought about like, you know, if I should switch back to the Punishing Fires to just stick with the build. But once I figured out Flame Jab, I basically like didn't see the need for Punishing Fire anymore, because like this gives you a card that you can always gamble for, that you're no matter what you discard, you're going to be able to start using it and start killing creatures with it.
Yeah, that does seem kind of cool, because we were actually talking about that when you had the board state where JD played the Strix just as a chump blocker.
Right.
Even though because he had a lethal Merit Lage out. So you gambled, and we were saying, what are the odds that he discard the Punishing Fire? But you got Flame Jab there, so that actually, you were good.
yeah, because I had 3 lands and the Flame Jab, so no matter what I discarded, I was good to go.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's not many creatures that are bigger than an X1 or X2 in Legacy. Like, you know, it's just really easy to chip out little stuff like that, and it makes killing Mentor the Meat easier. Yeah, I've liked it a lot.
Yeah, because like, what's the worst case? They fight you over your second copy, and then you say, "Oh darn, I guess I'll play another."
Yeah, but with Punishing Fire, you would need 5 mana just to be able to do 4 damage. So
that
it just
really does seem to make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, so how are you liking? Molten Vortex over something like, let's say, Seismic Assault?
I like Vortex only because there's a lot of instances where you'll try to get your like Accelerator going or something like that, and they'll counter it or Abrupt Decay it or something like that. That's pretty much the only way the Fair decks can win, is by interacting with your first play, and like stopping you from getting ahead of them. So after they do that, you know, they kind of think the coast is clear, but then you can just play a Vortex after that. And the games where you don't have an Accelerator, the 20/20 clock is a lot worse, you know, because you're going to be able to get it turn 4 at the minimum, and they're going to be able to see it coming, and they know you can play around it and such. But with Vortex, you just flip your game plan completely, and you don't even have to win with the 20/20.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And and like I said, with the Blood Moon thing happening too, where you get like main deck outs the Blood Moon and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
It's really nice.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, because there's playing Aggro a lot. There's times where I just am absolutely miserable that I have to Punishing Fire my opponent down from 20. That's just the actual worst. But this seems to, I guess it cuts that in half, right? Because it's twice as fast.
Yeah, it's a lot faster actually, only because you can do more than 2 damage with Vortex a turn. I mean, if you have a fetch land going with your Loam, you can get all 4 of your Taigas in play, and then just Loam every turn and be able to do 6 a turn. So you'll get them on basically a 3-turn clock.
Yeah, that seems pretty good.
Seismic Assault's sweet because you don't have to pay the mana to do it, but once you have triple red already that you would need to cast Assault in the first place, Molten Vortex is going to do like basically the same thing.
Yeah,
and if you're doing 6 damage like divided, you don't really need to be doing much else with your mana.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Well, hey Kurt, thanks for coming on the stream and explaining your new list for you. Now, are there any other changes you made besides that, or is that you just cut what for this?
Yeah, all of the spells are the same from like the list that Jarvis played at in Grand Prix Seattle, for example. Except for I cut the 4 Punishing Fires for the 4 Vortexes, and then I cut the 4 Groves for 2 additional Taigas and 2 additional fetch lands.
Gotcha. So 4 Taigas and 6 fetch lands.
Yeah, okay. And then I'm playing the Beseiju main instead of like the Bajuka Bog or the Caracas.
Okay.
Just to go with the Molten Vortexes.
Yeah, that seems fun. Yeah, that's cool, man. Awesome. Well, hey, thanks for sharing it.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool. So you're 2-0 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, good luck in your last round.
All day I'm like, man, if it wasn't for JD,
how you doing?
Doing what I'm doing. Paul gave me a good idea. To the vintage Moon deck with similar combos.
So what you up to, Billy?
Not much. JD's back, so I'm here.
Hype. Are you playing today?
No, I never can get here on time.
Yeah.
Because this starts at what, 6:30?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get off work at 7.
Awkward. Oh, no, I don't. I'm going to be right back, guys, and we're going to do the feature match.
Well, thanks to Kurt for that deck tech. Learned a lot about how he wanted to build his deck and what it was working. It looks like it's doing well for him. He's 2-0 tonight. Maybe we'll see him again if we don't have anything else interesting going on. But Kurt's been playing Green-Red Lands for a long time. I mean, it's interesting to see the innovations that he's making and how it's working out for him.
Yeah, and I mean, Kurt is a master with his deck. I played against him one time in a tournament a long time ago, and it was just like, playing Magic, sometimes you can get a good grasp of like the difference in like skill level and stuff like that, and it was definitely apparent that Kurt really like knew the ins and outs of his deck. Thraxil, the winner, we had two matches in play for the last round. The first was Kurt Spiess versus J.D. It was the Lands versus Aluren matchup, and Kurt on Lands won. And the second feature match we had was Wes Shaw and Kyle Marx playing, and Kyle Marx won with Death and Taxes in 3 games against Sneak and Show.
Yeah, next round starting. Yeah, thanks. I've been working on it for a bit. So pairings are going up right now. How you doing, Mr. Scott?
What do you so bad?
Say what?
Have him sit down, pretend to play like a turn, shake you up and leave.
Oh, did you guys ID?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I use your full name?
What?
Is it okay if I use your full name?
Yeah, I don't care.
How do you spell your last name?
W-A-L-D-R-O-N.
What's up? Yeah, go for it. And what was your name? Mark,
Matt Marx.
Matt Marx?
What play vintage instead?
Is that with, how do you spell your last name?
Sorry.
Matt. How do you spell your last name?
Unacceptable.
Matt. How do you spell your last name?
M-A-R-K-S.
Okay. So are you guys cool with being on the stream and all that stuff? Okay.
This is a stream?
What? I thought we were just playing underneath PVC for no reason.
I don't even know what game I'm playing, bro. No, I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Damn, that's gonna be awkward.
CeeLo for it? Basically just randomized this.
Can we have confirmation on what Matt's playing? Is he playing Death and Taxes?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
3 is a very high number. So it looks like Scott's going to be on the draw for this game. Death and Taxes, maybe. I like that.
And just an FYI, the view range is about 2 dice on both sides. So just keep that in mind when you have your graveyard.
Okay.
So I think Diana is away for a little while, but Rudy, what do you think about this matchup?
They're also there for you to use.
Well, if Matt is playing Deaths and Taxes, we actually have a really interesting matchup. Anne is definitely favored in game 1 unless Matt has a very early Talia. The Talia is just super taxing on Scott, and it forces him to have multiple mana sources instead of just one. And if he fails to play an LED before his opponent plays a Talia, it's going to be really hard for him to get the required amount of mana he needs to go off. Part of the best thing about one of the things about Ant and Storm in general is you're generally working on very perfect amount of mana. You generally don't have an excess amount unless the hands where you're going overboard and crazy. In those games, you're very much going to win anyway. But a lot of games with Ant or Storm in general is you generally use all of your mana exactly. A lot of times it comes down to a science where you need to play a ritual and then play land and then play a petal and then you tutor and then you go get tendrils and you have exactly 4 mana left to tendrils.
If I can sit just slightly different so you can see the card.
Right, that makes sense. And I mean, that's I like the point you made about just having the exact amount of mana to go off and not really needing excess. When you're playing Storm, I think you really just need to be completely surgical, and part of that is just not having extra anything, because normally you're probably just going to die if you do. And that's why cards like Daze as well can be problematic, or small humps that you have to overcome. What I am interested in seeing is not just Thalia, but if Matt can utilize other tricks that the deck has. So for example, I think Rishadan Port, which Matt does have, is going to play a critical part here in choking off some of Scott's mana. And I also think minor things like, for example, Phyrexian revoking LED are might become important.
Yep, I think those are one of the interesting things about Phyrexian Revoker is it can actually shut off LED, where something like Pithy Needle normally would not be able to.
Right, and I mean, for a mulligan to 5, I think what Matt has is probably as good as it's going to get. I don't think you can afford to mulligan to 4 when you have lands and spells you can cast, even if your opponent is playing Storm.
Yep. One of the interesting things is a lot of times, if you put a lot of pressure on Scott, he's going to have to play, almost have this precise amount of Storm to kill Matt. And if Matt gets Batterskull in the play early, Scott's going to have to do a lot of work to be able to push Mark out and to really be able to combo him out.
Right, I think 2 swings from Batterskull is generally what I found to be just the right amount to get out of the Storm range.
Right, and one of the best parts about a deck like Matt's is he doesn't take really any damage from any of his lands, and he doesn't take damage from any of his spells. So he's in this great position where 20 is his life total, and it's going to stay his life total for a while.
Right, and I think off this mulligan to 5, how aggressive do you think? So next turn, Matt has the decision as to whether he wants to Rishadan Port Scott on his upkeep, or if he wants to flash in what appears to be the Sword of Fire and Ice. It's interesting that he didn't get Batterskull.
Yeah, I also don't agree with Matt's decision. Maybe his idea is that he's going to try and race, and Sword is 5 damage a turn, so he's only going to need 4 turns. But I think at the same time, Batterskull is a very similar between attacking with Stoneforge and Mom anyway. You have the same amount, plus you get to put your life total far and away. So I actually think Batterskull is probably a better choice here. I think also Matt missed 1 point of damage. I think he should have attacked with his mom here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, if he doesn't know what his opponent's playing, then maybe it's possible you don't want to attack for fear of him playing Delver. But if he was familiar with what Scott's playing, and honestly, it looked like his hands were okay, and he was mulliganing to a hand against Storm. So I find it really odd that he didn't want to attack there. Maybe he isn't 100% sure yet what his opponent's playing.
I mean, the opening of Gutaxian Probe into Volcanic Ponder is a Storm opening, but it could also potentially be something like
Sneaky Show or Grixis Delver.
Exactly, both of those decks, or even as the Nitro 321 says, Blue White Red Delver.
Right. Those are all definitely a lot of possibilities. But now that he's played the Swamp, I got to go ahead and say that he's most likely playing Storm.
Right, and it's interesting the sequencing with the Brainstorm and the Fetch land. So I believe Scott fetched first.
He knew at least what one of the cards was from Ponder.
Right, and so the fact that he's brainstorming now makes me wonder if he actually just has a turn 2 kill or something like that.
No, looks like he was just looking for a duress or a therapy for their sword.
Okay, that makes sense. And actually, I meant to say this earlier, but one interesting thing about swords, Sword of Fire and Ice rather, is that it can actually dig deeper for Thalia, which I think is the crucial card here. It's just a minor upside of having swords, but I think the major idea was racing.
Yeah. I don't think there's any real choice for Matt right here, but it looks like he's going to have to start getting aggressive. We're on a tight clock here, and Port's going to be nice. And I think next turn we're going to be able to start double porting. What's really interesting here is just kind of like is the game of what is Scott going to fetch for. It looks like he has a ritual in hand, at least one dark ritual, maybe two, or maybe a dark ritual, a Cabal ritual. Maybe what he's looking for is an Infernal Tutor right now. I think that's what he might really be looking into. It looks like he might have a draw spell, and he's debating on whether or not he wants to crack this Flooded Strand and leave both of his blue mana stranded. He knows what he has to find. It looks like Scott here is just going to try and play it safe and not let Port really get too much advantage. Matt drew a Wasteland here, which is actually a very good draw. Keeping Ant off their mana is so important, even though they can have a very quick... what's really interesting here is that he didn't attack with his mom. I think attacking for 2 turns is probably right. I mean, maybe he's still not sure what his opponent's playing.
I mean, the duress should give it away, but I think, yeah, you're right. Attacking with Mother of Runes is probably necessary. And an interesting thing that I think Matt has the option of doing is actually Rishodon porting the Flooded Strand. I believe Scott knows what the top card of his deck is, just the top card, because he brainstormed the turn prior. And potentially tapping the Flooded Strand could produce a suboptimal fetch land for Scott. But I think he's just going to go ahead and tap both the sources that are in play right now.
Yep, it looks like Scott drew a Ponder and a Lotus Petal. I didn't really quite get a good look at what his third card was. Maybe it was an LED. I didn't really get. It looks like he has a Preordain in his hand as well. I'm interested in what Mark thinks Scott is playing at this moment, and I can't imagine that if he's familiar with Legacy All, that he hasn't figured out that his opponent's probably playing Storm. This is a lot of basics for a deck that's playing creatures. I do like that Scott here fetched for a basic, although he's definitely going to need at least one more land to be able to fight through both these ports and a Wasteland.
Right. The one thing about fetching basics is now that, I mean, he's pretty much cut, like, let's say hypothetically he does... Sorry, 1 second. I think a liability is just that Scott only has that one black source, and to combo off, he's actually just going to need multiple black sources, because he can't... I mean, he could potentially ad nauseum in his upkeep, but that doesn't seem like a solid play. And for him to get to his main phase with black mana, he's going to have to draw a bunch more lands. This Wasteland is going to be a huge problem. And
It looks like Scott drew a Delta, which is actually really good here, and Matt follows up with a third port. So he's starting to get to a point where he's going to really keep him drained off of mana. One of the other reasons that I think missing an attack with Mom is so devastating here is just simply because Scott has a card like Ad Nauseam in his deck, and the more life you give him to play with, the better his Ad Nauseam is going to be.
Right, exactly. And I think before the Polluted Delta was played, even like something as basic as putting Scott on a 6-turn versus a 5-turn clock, an entire draw step is all the difference it takes for the Storm player to just come out of the gates.
I also think that Matt made a mistake here with his Rishadan ports. Not that necessarily what he did was wrong, but what he could do here, and what another option he has, is to port the island in Scott's upkeep, and then during his draw step, port the swamp.
Yeah, and that's the tactic that I see a lot of lands players do. What is the upside of something like that?
Well, the possibilities of that are preventing him from being able to use all of his mana efficiently in his upkeep. If he has something like Dark Ritual, looks like he found Infernal Tutor, Tendrils, and Flooded Strand off of this. So if he has, and he has a Lotus Petal and LED in hand, so it is possible that if he has enough rituals, he could actually win the game right now, depending on what he has. And it looks like he's saying, "This is my Storm 1." He said it's go time. Let's see what Scott's going to do here. It looks like multiple LEDs, so that's pretty good. So one of the other benefits is if your opponent does have something like removal, or they have multiple blue sources and a bunch of draw spells in their hand, is you can force them to use their mana inefficiently between their upkeep and their draw step.
Whatever you want to do is fine.
It looks like they're just debating how they want to go ahead and sort out all their mana.
Yeah, this is looking pretty lethal. With the Infernal Tutor, you can search for Past in Flames and just get a kill there.
Is he going to even need to? He's at 8 right now. Yeah, I guess he. Well, no, he's not gonna need it at all. He's actually can just get a tutor and then tutor for Tendrils and Tendrils for exactly 20.
That works too. Yep. Multiple lines. That's the beauty about the Storm decks.
Yep. It's also possible that he's going to go for the Past in Flames kill, although I don't think there's any need to get fancy when it's simple enough to get Infernal Tutor into Tendrils. Yeah, it looks like he was going to go for the Past in Flames kill, but this is a situation that you don't actually need to do that. One of the things that we might look into, at least post-board, depending on what deck you play against, is stuff like Mindbreak Trap and stuff like Spell Bomb or Rest in Peace that's going to make a Past in Flames potentially really bad there. So it definitely is good to know how many different options and how many different ways you can kill someone with Storm. Looks like Scott has a Massacre in his sideboard, which is obviously going to be very good here.
Right, and Massacre, for the folks that don't know, says if you control a swamp and your opponent controls some plains, you can cast this for free. All creatures get -2/-2.
Right. All creatures get -2/-2.
And the actual casting cost is 2 black, so it's not unreal that, Scott might be able to just hard cast the Massacre to remove a board full of 8 bears.
Right, if he needs to. One of the... I'm not sure what Mark's reaching for here. I think Mark might be unfamiliar with how this matchup goes, because it looks like he's boarding in an Absolute Law here. And I think that might be just because he's simply unfamiliar with how this matchup turns out. But this is definitely a good spot for Matt to... It looks like to me, I mean, if I was going to play Death and Taxes, I definitely agree here. He's boarding out his Swords to Plowshares. He's boarding out his Mother of Runes. His opponent doesn't have any removal. His opponent doesn't have any creatures. These cards are just going to be useless in the matchup. So I like that he's boarding them out here. We definitely have a lot of interesting cards potentially in the sideboard, and I think that Matt might be a little bit unfamiliar with what his opponent's doing. As you see, he has Absolute Law currently in his deck.
Yeah, I'm trying to think off the top of my head what the Absolute Law could be for, if there's any potential card that, Matt might know Scott plays or something like that, but yeah, I'm drawing a blank here. I don't think the Absolute Law is going to be that helpful.
Shiv just asked why would he bring in Needle, and if he did bring in the Needle, it's actually very good in this matchup, because if he has Sensei's Divining Top, you can do that, but one of the
biggest things that I don't think a lot of people realize is Pithy Needle can name fetch lands. And a deck that's a combo deck that relies on things like Ponder and Brainstorm and Gataxian Probe, he really needs the ability here to use all his mana efficiently and be able to get rid of some of his bad cards, and fetch them away. And Pithy Needle on a Polluted Delta or a Scalding Tarn can crush Scott. It can just leave him with a hand of just a bunch of dead cards.
Right, especially in tandem with all the other mana disruption that Matt plays in Thalia and Rishadan Port, Wasteland, etc. Right, just adding on to that taxation is really what he wants to be doing. And any value points. For example, Pithy Needle is going to be better than other cards that he's boarding out anyways, like Swords to Plowshares. So there's only upside in having it.
Right, and I think one of the things that people don't do a lot, and even though it can seem a lot of obvious when you're talking about it, it's just like, oh, Pithy Needle, he might Pithy Needle my fetch land, I should just fetch. Even if you do fetch, you still have 3 more of those fetch lands in your deck. You might have 4 more of another fetch land that you haven't drawn yet. Pithy Needle can still name those. And there are the people that go, I don't need to, fetch here. What is he going to name? And then you get your fetch land named. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. People who are smart people, too. Sometimes it's just something that you don't realize.
And looking at Matt's hand right now, I see Wasteland, Rishadan Port, Stoneforge, Flicker Wisp, and Containment Priest. So it seems he's off to a healthy start. Drawing a Thalia here would just be, the best thing possible. We have yet to see one.
I think he has one. Yeah, he has a Thalia.
There we go. I am in fact wrong. Thalia is probably the hardest card for Scott to deal with. It makes all the cantrips cost extra mana, which is definitely stressful in light of, all the effects, like Rishadan Port, Wasteland, etc.
Right. It also means a card like Port and Wasteland are just going to be devastating here.
And I think, oh my gosh, the Spirit of the Labyrinth is going to be great draw in addition to the Thalia in that it'll turn off all of Scott's cantrips. Hopefully, Scott has an Abrupt Decay or a Chain of Vapor or something like that. But even then, Abrupt Decay is going to cost 3 mana under Thalia. And,
right. I actually like wasting here a lot, because there's not really too much he can do about it. And he can float mana all he wants, but we're going to play. I think he should play Spirit here. Yep, and Spirit's just going to be great. Scott has to respond with the floating mana that he has, and maybe he'll have a Brainstorm or something, but either way, this is not looking good for Scott. Oh, Disfigure here is awesome.
Damn. It's interesting that Scott chose to kill the Thalia instead of the Spirit of the Labyrinth. It makes me wonder if Scott has an answer already for the Spirit of the Labyrinth, like an Abrupt Decay.
Right, he definitely has an Abrupt Decay in his hand. I can see that. He also has a Probe in his hand. I'm curious though. He needs to kill the Thalia so his mana isn't as taxed. But I'm definitely interested in how Scott's gonna approach this game, because he does not have a lot going on right now. What's interesting here is it looks like Scott has a Cabal Therapy in his hand. And although Cabal Therapy is not a very good card against Matt, if Matt just has Stoneforge Mystic, he might be able to nab some free stuff.
Right, and I think since he also has the Gataxian Probe, like you mentioned, Gataxian Probe and Cabal Therapy is just a very, very powerful combo.
Yep. It looks like here Scott's going to start off with a Ponder. Let's see what he's looking for. Yeah, 3 cards. It looks like he has 2 lands and a Massacre in his top 3. And Massacre is obviously a great card here, especially if we can Therapy away some free stuff. But I'm not sure if it's going to be good enough overall, because we still need a lot of cards to really push together everything.
Right, exactly. And I think Diana's returned. Welcome back, Diana.
Hey, thanks guys. Back from feeding the dog.
Yep, it definitely looks here like Scott is debating. Massacre is obviously a very good card, and he has a fetch land in hand. So it looks like he's debating on drawing the Massacre and then keeping the fetch land. Scott's decided that these 3 cards are just not going to be good enough right here. He needs a heavy amount of spells here, and he just doesn't have what he needs to be able to kill Matt.
Right, and it seems like what Scott's done, like, post board, is that he's just kept a handful of answers and not really focused too much on the combo. And while that is, like a decent game plan for the opening turns, eventually he's going to run out of answers, and Matt is going to draw, multiple copies of all the hate bears that he plays, because I have a sneaking suspicion that Matt has more hate bears than Scott has answers. So eventually Scott's going to have to just amass, the entire combo and fire it off during the window that, he might have developed for himself when Matt doesn't have like a, any sort of taxation effect.
Yep, and Pro Pier is going to show us a hand of Flicker Wisp, Aether Vial, Batterskull, Enlightened Tutor, and Containment Priest. Seems like not too bad of a hand, and Scott being at 13 is really dangerous, and it is as dangerous as it sounds. Matt has a bunch of creatures in his deck, and it's only going to take him a few turns to chip away at that life. And in the meantime, if we draw another hate piece, Scott might just be dead. He might not be able to overcome everything. Especially if his hand has a ton of answers, he's not really going to be able to push any advantage that he might gain in the meantime.
Absolutely, and I think you said that Scott actually had a Cabal Therapy in his hand. If he does decide to play it now, what do you think he names?
I think he has to name Batterskull here. Now, it looks like he didn't have it, but if he did have it, I think the name here is actually Batterskull. Batterskull is the card that's going to push him out of range, and it's going to deal the most amount of damage the quickest.
I feel like right now Matt is just actually getting hurt by not drawing as many lands as he needs, because he's only able to do 1 action a turn. Right now he's got, Stoneforge Mystic and Enlightened Tutor, and he's not able to cast both, which is just really slowing him down here.
Yeah, and being able to attack him down to 5, down to 8 is definitely tough. If Scott has an Abrupt Decay, he can kind of do some work here, and it looks like he doesn't. Looks like he's just going to take 5 down to 8. Matt's going to go up to 24 here, and let's see what he drew.
And like we mentioned before, once this Batterskull starts connecting multiple times, the game just gets harder and harder and harder for Scott to win, because the storm count just needs to be unreasonably high. Hopefully he will draw what he needs, but it seems like he just drew an island for the turn, which probably is not going to cut it.
Right, and it looks here that Matt is going to keep Enlightened Tutor during the end step, and I think he's going to Enlightened Tutor for something. Let's see if he Enlightened Tutors for a Spirit of the Labyrinth. Let's see if he has something like Eidolon of the Rhetoric. Maybe he has Rest in Peace. Let's see what he boarded in for Enlightened Tutor.
Yeah, each of these cards just sounds...
the Rhetoric.
Oh yeah, Eidolon of the Rhetoric is the spicy card. It's a 1/4 for 2 and a white, and it's...
Right, it's the... You can't be targeted, or you have hexproof.
No, it's the same thing as Ether's Canonist, but it just is a 1/4 instead of a 2/2.
Gotcha.
Right,
but it looks like Matt here has Canonist, and it looks like he's going to get in for 5 and play a Canonist, and Scott's going to have to make the most out of his draw step this turn.
Seems like Scott's going to have to start off by drawing a removal spell to get rid of the Canonist, and then he's going to have to combo off. But I don't think he has it, because if he did have the removal spell, he probably would have used it on the Batterskull Germ token a while back. And if he had the combo, he probably would have comboed off last turn too. So he probably has to draw both of these cards, and it seems unlikely. But I could be totally wrong.
Yep. It looks like Scott in his hand has a Cabal Ritual, a Pass in Flames, and a Tendrils. Those are the cards that I can make out. And although those are all generally okay cards in conjunction, they're not very good when your opponent has a Canonist in play. Turns out Tendrils for, looks like he has Massacre here. Massacre here is a great first step.
Absolutely. The fact that it doesn't cost any mana at all is huge. And it seems like Scott is putting together the storm counters, so maybe he is about to finish the game.
Well, he knows that he is dead next turn, so there's no risk at least trying. The worst that happens is he can cast a Value Tendrils, And then he has Pass in Flames, so depending on what he draws, if he draws a few spells, he might be able to just use the Pass in Flames to finish off his opponent with a rebuy.
What interests me is that Scott actually drew the island for turn. You clearly saw that. So what I want to know is that if he does have a combo now, if he has it like guaranteed, I'm wondering why he didn't do it last turn. Was he just short 1 mana?
I think he was short one of the pieces. I think he just drew. I'm actually not sure. I thought he just drew Tendrils this turn, or he might have drawn. I think he had Massacre in hand, but I think he just drew Tendrils this turn, and Tendrils like gives him the window to actually kill him. But it looks here. What Scott can do... Oh, he drew Pass in Flames? Well, if he drew Pass in Flames, then Pass in Flames definitely does it. What Scott can actually do here is he can Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, cast Tendrils of Agony, cast Pass in Flames, and then rebuy on the 2 rituals, and then Tendrils, and I think that might be enough.
Well, I mean, Matt is at a healthy 28, so he's going to need to get a storm count of 14. One thing that might be able to help. Actually, I don't think you can't cast Massacre with its alternate cost, can you? Off of Pass in Flames?
No,
no,
you
not
can't.
from the graveyard.
How much was this for?
You have to.
Okay, storm count 4.
10. So he's going to be able to Tendrils here for 10 to put Mark down to 18. I think we're going to fetch here for a Volcanic and an Underground Sea. And then cast Pass in Flames, and then that'll be 6, and then Probe will be 8, and then Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual will be 9 and 10, and then Tendrils will be 11, which will kill him.
That is incredible.
Drawing the Pass in Flames here actually provided him... drawing Pass in Flames actually let him kill his opponent. And now he can just Ritual, and then Tendrils.
He cast Massacre just to insult Matt.
How many cards do we want to flash back here?
Well, it looks like Scott was able to pull out a very big game on the back end too. He was very far behind, and he was able to pull it out. If Matt possibly drew another land, he would have been able to cast a Vial earlier or Port earlier. But it looks like Matt is just very dead. Tendrils you. Good game.
Yeah, Storm is one of those decks. It's just insanely powerful. I love seeing the pilots being able to crack the puzzles, figure it out, or come across lines that we just don't normally see.
I drew Pass in Flames. Was it a fresh top of your library? I don't remember. It was, okay. I was top decking for a while. Okay. I just could not. Yes. Game 1. I know where there was a Rishan and Port thing. So when I played the fetch land and you tapped down my island swamp, tap down 1. Let me go to my draw step, see if I shuffle. So I might actually want to shuffle. So after you did that, if I don't shuffle, just tap down my swamp. You said tap your island. Okay, just tap your island swamp.
I was tapping your island. I was thinking about the draw step.
Well, that was actually kind of interesting. It's definitely great to show how resilient a deck like Storm is.
I'm gonna see if I can find us a game that's sideboarding real quick. I'll be right back.
I don't think the 1 was actually
Okay.
Couldn't have prevented it, but
There was that, and I think there was one attack step where you didn't attack with Mom.
yeah, you missed the 1 attack with Mom.
The Storm versus Death and Taxes matchup is so stacked in Storm's favor anyway.
You have a good one? Yeah, I gotta head out. I'm willing to go to the restaurant, but I got family coming in town.
Okay. But Miracles is my main deck.
Yeah, and you can see Scott's board right now, how he's got the Dread of Knights as well. I think Scott was heavily expecting Death and Taxes and definitely did board appropriately.
Like I mentioned, this shop is very Death and Tax heavy.
Yes. And we're definitely seeing it here. This is at least the second person we've seen playing Death and Taxes. Which, I don't know, how many people were there tonight?
Not really sure, but even in the warm-up rounds, we were seeing Death and Taxes versus Bug Delver. so there's been a lot.
I remember playing at this shop a few times. In addition to that main deck Aethersworn Canonist I mentioned earlier, I also had the unpleasant surprise of seeing Dryad Militant, which is not fun to play against if it comes down on the very first turn of the very first game.
You can name a land. You can name fetch land. I mean, it's actually pretty good if you go Pithing Needle.
Blue Delta.
Like that's
Hey guys, so real quick update. There's no more live games that are going to be going to board, so I'm probably going to sign us off here in a second.
All right.
So quick shout outs. Thank you guys. Again, Rudy, Anurag, Diana. I don't know if you guys want to plug any of your social networking stuff, but now's the time if you got it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really enjoyed your guys' commentary. It really helped out a lot.
Anytime, Corey. You let me know when you need me to come back. I'll try.
Yeah, Corey, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's really great getting to watch people play and talk about it. Hope to be back.
Yeah, man. So if you guys want to link your social network stuff, if people want to follow you wherever, you can link it in chat. Thanks to everybody, all the viewers for watching, pointing stuff out, interacting with each other. You guys are awesome. Really digging the vibes from everyone that's been supporting us since day one. According to the schedule, we may or may not be streaming tomorrow. I've got some guests coming up tomorrow night for New Year's Eve, so I might actually, we may not go live tomorrow. So just a quick heads up.
Yeah, I think I'm going down. I'll be in Baltimore tomorrow night, I think, because I'm gonna go out drinking with Danny Goldstein.
Oh yeah, doesn't he have like a birthday thing or something going on? I saw a Facebook invite for it, and there were like zero details about it. It just literally said Danny's birthday.
What else do you need to know?
I don't know if you hung. Yeah, I don't know if you hung out with Danny, but that's all you need to know.
I know Danny, and I'd expect nothing less from a Facebook invite to his birthday, but I still know zero things about it. Is it going to be at Paul's place or something? I don't even know. Are they going downtown? Are you going to be here for New Year's, Rudy?
Not 100% sure.
Okay.
Me and Lindsay have last year, we just sat at home and went to sleep before midnight, and it was great. Dude, I'm not gonna lie.
No lie, getting a full night's rest is like a really high level checkbox for me for a good time.
Yeah, I mean, you say that now, but who's the one keeping us all up?
10, 9.
I get really loud when I get excited, and I have a habit of waking up Diana at the house. Like JD, like we showed up at like midnight. We picked him up from the train, and oh man, I was super excited.
All right.
You out? I'll see you.
All right, but I'm out. Hey, everybody who watched tonight, thank you very much for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. We hope you guys enjoyed the commentary. If you guys want to follow the stream, that'd be great. You'll know when we go live. Make sure to turn on notifications. If you want to follow, it's at Snapcasters2U. That's the Twitter handle. There's also a Facebook page, which I'm sure we could get linked in the chat for you guys.
Yeah, and also if you guys have a feedback too, Snapcasters is definitely up and coming and growing, and we're always looking back to hear what you guys think we can do better. And besides that,
if you guys want Jeff Hoogland to play some Legacy, you're going to have to give him like 4 years to stop being a 24-year-old child.
So I was gonna try to say something positive, like if you try to approach him and level with him. So shout outs actually to Jeff Hooglin. He hooked us up with this cool little app we actually use to adjust life points. I talk to him from time to time, not so much on a personal level, but like he's been nice to me, so I can't really say too much bad stuff about him. He's been a big help for me personally. So
I have nothing bad to say about him. I hope one day he grows out of it and stops being so aggressive. But
Oh my gosh.
when you're, it is what it is.
trying to keep the positive vibes here towards everybody, like even people like Star City Games. So, but hey, they run a great show.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how would any of us be here if not for Star City?
Yeah, seriously, like I probably wouldn't even be into Legacy that much if it wasn't for Star City. So,
anyway, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll be back if you guys like me. I'll be back.
Oh, dude, you were great. Seriously, everybody was great tonight. Huge help to you guys, or huge shout out to you guys for helping me commentate, because this is so much easier for me to do, to just have you guys commentate. Sorry, we still have to do it through Skype, but we'll work on it to get everything super easy for you guys. So thanks for coming out.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Yep. Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys, everybody, for sticking with us. Hopefully, this is the easiest place for me to stream from, so keep your eyes peeled. Almost every Tuesday. Last week was, I took off all week, so we didn't really have a stream, but January 10th is the next Winamax at Squabbles. Do not miss it if you're nearby. Every Tuesday we'll be here. Most Wednesdays we'll be streaming from Curio Cavern. I'm not going to be there. I'd say it's a 50-50 right now, whether I'm streaming tomorrow or not. I'll let you guys know tomorrow on Facebook or something. And then Fridays, I'm not 100% sure on what we're doing. If we don't have any plans, we'll likely be streaming from Chibi, Cards and Games, up in Ellicott City on Friday. That's going to be a good time. And that's going to be, I think they're called H2 Games now, though. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, thanks you guys for sticking with us. Shoot us your feedback. I'll look at it. I link to Facebook. You can tweet us. The Twitter handle's right there. Make sure you follow us if you haven't already. You'll keep up to date on when we go live. Thanks you guys again, and I will see you next time.
Yeah, I think that's your biggest mistake.